So you're shipping out my shirts, dude?
Yeah, you're making me work.
Yeah.
I don't even make any money doing this.
Yeah, but all that money.
You should pay me.
I paid you when I came to RCGP. Literally paid to work for you.
What did you do other than play with your new podcasting equipment?
You're insane.
I'm saying you came there on holiday. You sat in the booth with Nick a bit. That's it. You didn't even want to do a podcast.
I did do a podcast though. And
I think on the Saturday.
Yeah, but it was it Saturday? It was just so cold and everything. Everybody wanted to go home. It was just 3 of us there doing it. Anyway.
Just excuses.
Hurry up and ship my shirts out. People want their shirts. Stop lollygagging and get the shirts out. Okay, Rupert?
Yeah, I was going to ship them out already, but you know what happened? You can't buy those poly mailer bags anyway. You have to buy them online. It's crazy.
Okay.
So I ordered some. They should arrive today. So
anyway,
I'm writing all the labels, and then once the bags arrive, then I'll ship them out.
Sounds like excuses to me. Enough of that. No more excuses. Ship it out. Stop your noise.
Excuse. I'm telling you what I'm doing.
Whatever. Shut up.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed, Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 52 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, a.k.a. Lefty the Great. And thank you guys for all the support of episode 51 with Jason Snyder. It seems to be a very popular podcast. It was a great chat with Jason, so thank you to him. And if you guys haven't listened to it, go check it out. And the Cavallari one is good too. So, and there's some good old ones that we need to check out as well. I'm going to start posting those up. But yes, now we're on episode 52, coming to the end of the year, about a month. It's a month and a bit left in the year. So, yeah, all good stuff. I want to say thank you to all of the people that support us, man. All of the No Name RC podcast listeners and supporters around the world. It's growing. Facebook page is growing. I think we're at 2,200 and something likes. Let's get that growing, man. Let's try and get that up to 500 by the end of the year, 2,500. Keep on growing. That's what we got to do. Spreading the love, spreading the podcast love, bringing content for you guys daily, weekly. Daily would be stressful. I would definitely need an assistant like Jamie for that. I would make JQ my assistant. Call him Rupert the assistant. But thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the last podcast with Jason, and thank you for all the support just this whole year. So, yeah, this week, before I go on and announce this week's guest, let me say thank you to our sponsors, because without them, we couldn't do this. First, I want to shout out and say thank you to RCMX Online. Thank you for their support. One of our title sponsors has been putting all of our podcasts on their news site. Check them out for all your RC off-road news needs. Euro RC. Just RC, no bullshit. Check them out. One of the biggest shops in Europe. They got everything. So check them out. Follow them on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram. Thank you to Assault RC, who brings the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Assault RC is your go-to for all your performance enhancing needs. Lubes, specialty tools, gauges, tool holders. Assault RC is the place to find them. Remember, go to assaultrc.com, use promo code Lefty19 in all caps, and you will get 10% off your order. Techno RC. Unfortunately, we do not have a Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight this week. Life has been hectic, and I have not been able to record. I literally tried to record the night before this, and you guys wouldn't believe it, my electricity went out. I live in a third world country. Electricity goes out from time to time. But we'll be returning next week, and anybody that is interested in being on the Grassroots Racer Spotlight, please contact me. So, thank you to Techno RC for sponsoring the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. Techno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in competitive, dependable, and affordable 8th and 10th scale buggies, trucks for racers and RC enthusiasts. Visit www.technorc.com for a complete catalog of their vehicles, parts, hop-up, and accessories. Please let them know that you heard about this from the No Name RC podcast. Shout out to BK Servos. Stress performance for value. Our servos are extremely high performance, especially the models like the DS-7002HV. It's super fast and precise at a fraction of the cost of other super high-end servos. Also, check out the DS-8S-HT model, as it has more torque than almost anything out there for an excellent price, says Bert Camerer, owner of BK Servos. You can go to bkhobbies.com, use the promo code TheNoName, and get 15% off your purchases. Shout out to Bipolar Designs. Jason Darling down there in El Paso is knocking out some good wraps. I just posted one up on the Facebook page. It looks pretty good. I need to get a wrap for my M12, my car that I'm not going to use. So I'm going to get that done. And he says, looking for custom decals for your RC cars? Look no further. Bipolar Designs have you covered. Matching your paint schemes to your radio, headsets, pit board, you name it, we cover it. Jason Darling, Bipolar Designs. Check them out on Facebook or contact Jason directly via Facebook and he will get you sorted. Let them know that Lefty from the NNRC sent you and they will get you hooked up. 454 RC Works. Thank you to my buddy Clint Treadway. Was talking to him last night. We have to give away this skate deck. You guys have any ideas how we should give away that skate deck? I would like to do it for Christmas. So let me know. Contact me in private. But you can go to 454 RC Works is pushing out all types of carbon and 3D printed goodies for your cars. Trent's working hard. He's down there in Texas. Go to 454rcworks.com. You can use and find them on Facebook and Instagram and like and support them. Use the promo code in all caps NNPC 2019 and you will get 15% off your order. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has you covered for your RC tire traction needs. Whether you race on carpet, concrete, or dirt, loose dirt, dry, slick, or high grip surfaces, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic cures poor traction. I got it right. Prepare for victory with Papa Willie's Traction Tonic. Go to papawillies.net. Check them out. They're really active on social media. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page and give them a like. But if you go to papawillies.net, use NNRC in all caps as the promo code, you will get 10% off your order. Shout out to our newest sponsor. Welcome, RC Raceworks. RC Raceworks has designed and developed a super small, fully enclosed charger case specifically for the iCharger 308 and 406 Duo. These cases feature a 1,000 watt 12 volt power supply, panel mounted 4mm binding post and balance boards, a dual 2.1 amp USB charger, and a dual 12 volt panel mounted auxiliary binding post to power pit lights, engine, tire, and battery warmers. The case was designed for the traveling racer mind, and the case fits right between the wheels of the infamous, every RC racer has it, the OGO 9800 bag, making traveling with your charger easier and more convenient than ever before. Cases are built to order, and we will soon be offering cases so that customers can install their own equipment in the case, and saving you some money at the same time. So go to their Facebook page, RC Raceworks. They also have an Instagram page, or go to www.rcraceworks.com. Use promo code LEFTY in small letters, and you will get 10% off your order. So thank you to RC Raceworks for coming on board. Special thanks to JQ Racing because they make this all happen. And I want to say special thanks to Beach RC. Brent Densford has been a big supporter of this podcast from the very beginning. So I appreciate all of his support. So we're coming up on the end of RC here. Not end of RC, sorry. The end of the season. It's pretty much the end of the season now. So December's coming up. We have the Buggyland race coming up this weekend. Looks like it's going to have a lot of top guys racing there. Even Rupert's going to go there. I don't think he's going to. If he makes the main, I'll be impressed. But I don't. Yeah, he could make the main if he just focuses. Interested to see what the new track layout looks like. I want to say thank you to Mike Walker as well. He started, he did this and I didn't even know he was doing it, but we go to fall. I've been to Fall Brawl for 2 years in a row now. And it's kind of like one of our staple races. It's where it all started for us and myself back in the day. So tickets are a little expensive coming out of DR. It's peak season. And he started a GoFund for me, which I was shocked. I'm not really into trying to raise money for myself, but it is for work. I'll be going there doing podcast stuff and whatnot. So thank you to everybody that donated some shingles to that. I do appreciate that. I will be going to Fall Brawl. I'm excited, and it's a great race. It's going to be cold like it usually is, but it's a really good track. The Badlands crew put on a good race, and I'm looking forward to it. And of course, I'll bring you guys some content. So thank you to everybody that donated. If you guys wish to donate a little bit more, I think it's on my Facebook page. But thank you to Mike Walker for that. I do appreciate it. So yes, RC season's almost over. And yeah, then we got to start all over again. We take a break in Christmas time, and then February, I guess, end of January, racing starts. First big race that I'll be interested in is the Montpellier race. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure there's some races. I think there's Winter Rage going on up in the Pacific Northwest. That's the first weekend of January. You got SIC as well. January Jam at Flowwood. So there's lots of races coming up. I forgot that there's a race the same weekend as Fall Brawl. It's in Indy RC. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure somebody will let me know. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on too much. We do have some things to cover. Of course, the big incident that happened this weekend in Idaho, with the guy, the guy who punched, just lost at school, and punched that innocent guy out for nothing. In my look, that was really bad. But I rant about that on the rant. So if you're gonna hear that, I just go right to the rant, because I don't condone that. And Joseph and I, we answer some Facebook questions here that you sent. I think I got all the Facebook questions in this time. So thank you to everybody that sent questions. We do try to answer them all, and I think I got them all. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Let me get a hold of Joseph, and let's get to your Facebook questions. So what's up, Rupert? How you doing?
What's up?
Yeah.
Supposed to rain, but it didn't rain.
Yeah, we need some rain.
I didn't go to the track or anything.
Yeah, but you got Buggyland coming up this weekend.
It has rained. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Now it's two days of work, administrative work, making sure I still have a company work, paying bills work, invoicing work, sales work, shipping T-shirts work, and rebuilding.
Do you have you planned your ticket for Fall Brawl yet?
No.
Sounds
also
about right.
Maybe that kind of work.
Yeah.
Planning my next weeks.
Yeah,
work.
Because then you also have to purchase a ticket to come here, which you haven't done yet.
Yeah. Let's look into that after this.
Right.
podcast.
All right. So anyway, here we are on episode 52. Episode 51 was well received. People enjoyed the talk with Jason Snyder. Even you gave me a compliment, so that's great. Thank you to Jason for coming on.
What was the compliment?
You said it was a good podcast, so thank you.
I did.
Wow. Yeah,
that's good.
Must have been a subliminal thought in your head, and like I can't give Keenan any compliments, but yeah, I enjoyed it too. Really enjoyed the chat, and I basically from the general consensus is that was a good podcast, and some even say maybe the best one so far. So thank you to Jason. Check out Raw Speed. Good people. Support the small guys. So episode 52, Joseph, it's been we forgot to touch on something last week that happened that was kind of funny, but we kind of knew it all along, and that was a top 25 and omitting. Well, let's be real. They omitted Boots on his request. Now,
yeah.
I kind of knew that all this time, that Boots was upset about being on there, and I don't know the whole story or whatever. But he omitted the driver and left left all the other sponsors there, so everybody knew who it was. So kind of, Boots was pissed off about that. And like top 25 guys, like, it's like, whatever. I mean, he doesn't make any money off that stuff. He just does it because, he does it. So I don't know, man. I kind of understand why those lot might be upset for being on there, but it is what it is. Like, it's a ranking system. It's based off a certain criteria. If certain races don't make that criteria, it just doesn't matter. Like, so we went through that with RCGP. It is what it is. It's like golf. Maybe the number one guy in the world in golf isn't really the number one guy in the world, number one, the best player in the world, but the ranking system has him that way. So I don't know. That's probably been a long ongoing saga. And I guess top 25 gentlemen just said, all right, you know what? I don't care no more. I'll just omit his name and do it this way. So I thought that was silently savage. Pretty funny. But
I don't know. The thing about the list is, could it be better? Sure, it could be better. But the real problem isn't really the ranking. The real problem is that we don't race each other that much. And it's hard to judge what level a certain race is. So that's why it makes it sort of unfair in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of rewards people who race certain races. And so it's more of it doesn't, apart from like the very top guys, the ranking really means nothing, I think. Because it is based on which races you do. So if you race in Europe, then you're not going to be as high as someone who isn't as good as you, but races all the American races that count. So in America, you just need to show up and you'll make the main if you're a certain level driver, right? And then there's maybe five to seven, fast guys there, and 3 of them break, and you get a good result. Nice, you get good points for the list. If you're in Europe, well, first of all, there's a semi-final, so you could really suffer if you don't make the main from a semi-final at some point. And then also many of the races, because the list is stacked with American drivers, there aren't as many European or non-European drivers on there. Many of the races you go to aren't counted.
Mm-hmm.
So it never really fixes itself, the list.
Yeah.
Because it started this way and it just remains that way.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, if you wanted to make a list that matters more, then the races that count should be listed. There should be like, okay, these are all the races that count. And then it doesn't matter who goes, who attends. Because if people really care about it, then they'll attend those races. And then those races will sort of become the benchmark races in RC. So everyone wants to go to those races. That would be much better than the way it is now.
That makes sense. But I don't know, dude. I think we just need to...
For me, I don't understand why people care so much about the list. Wasn't Boots saying that like sponsors make decisions based on that list? Like sponsors that sponsors actually care about that list. They think it really matters, and they make their, salary bonus deal decisions partially based on that list. If that's the case, then it's not a good thing for the driver, I think. I guess move to America and do PMB and all those races.
Yeah.
And get good points.
I don't know. I don't think I don't know if it affects his sponsors. I mean, he's pretty good with S-Works. Obviously he's engaged to the daughter of Reds. So I don't know what's going on. I think, it's just a list because we have nothing. It's just a ranking. We don't have anything better. And I think it's fun to see who gets up, and I like to see who goes up and down and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that's actually a really good idea. List a bunch of races that count towards it. Or we just desperately need a proper World Series. But then it would be a ranking of the World Series. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I don't feel like flogging that dead horse too much.
See, a ranking and a series
two different things.
Because the ranking can be a lot of races all around the world.
Yes.
You know, a series can't. You know, no one's going to go to all the races in the ranking. But then it would be like, okay, these are the big European races. Let's support these. Let's try and make these the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
These are the big ones in America. These are the big ones in Asia. You know, do it that way.
Yeah.
I think that could be
work.
Be a way to do it.
That could work. Anyway, I know that Rick, who does it, puts a lot of time and effort into it. Boots doesn't want to be in there. It's not there anymore. So it is what it is at the end of the day. It is what it is. All right. So there was another incident this week, but we're actually I think that's going to be our rant. We won't, that's a good rant because it applies, like it's something we could talk about in depth, and we'll probably spend 45 minutes talking about that and past events and stuff like that. So we'll talk about what happened at the race with the gentleman, with the guy punching the guy in the driver's stand. We'll talk about that in the rant. So anything else you want to touch on before we go in any further? Anything you've noticed in the news? Silly season's upon us. I mean, everybody's switching up. I see Little Bump just signed with HB, but I knew that was coming for a long time. And
yeah, I guess Cavalieri is the biggest mover.
He
doesn't have many options, does he? Well, honestly, I think Cavalieri is going to end up taking a deal that's worse than what he wants.
Well, it's so funny because he went on to Beachline to carpet. It was like a big carpet race. Brock Champlin. I think, what's the kid? What's the Norwegian kid that drives X-Ray? Kobovic. He was there. Beachline's got this like new carpet track. It really is badass. It looks really nice. And they had this big carpet wars or something it was called. And Brock Champlin and Cavalieri were battling, and it was a great race, and he won. And I actually I talked to him yesterday. Say, hey, good win, yes, this weekend. A good way to go out from Yokohama, showing them that that you can win. And he's like, yeah, I got buggy land race, and then take a little chill pill, and then get ready for 2020. But yeah, he can still win. That's for sure. He still has the drive to win. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I still haven't heard much about Tessman. Have you?
I haven't heard anything, but he hasn't been very visible. I was actually thinking of that.
He won the race at he won Tim's race, and then I believe he won some 10 scale racer recently. I can't remember. I'd have to go look. I could be wrong. I probably am. But yeah, he just, he silently won the race at SCRC. And who knows, man? I think we would have heard much more rumblings about where he's going by now. And to be honest, I just probably don't think that's going to happen. Let's put it this way. I'll be shocked if he moves by the end of the year, because
I don't know where he would move.
Yeah. I don't think he's going anywhere. Everybody thought he was going like TLR or AE. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see it happening. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think TLR is really, TLR and S-Works are Cavalieri's only options that I can think of now.
Yeah. Yeah. Time will tell, dude. Time will tell. And I think Cav's just going to have a fire under him, and it's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to show everybody I'm still got it. So that would be good.
Let's see.
Because, I'm a big fan of Cavalieri. So I want him to win. I want him to win. Nothing else. It's slowing down. So I haven't really, it's not too much news going on and about. So, and it is what it is. Things will pick up here shortly. So let's go on to our Facebook questions.
Okay.
All right. So first one, Cody Thompson. What's up, Cody? Met him at JBRL and all the other dudes. He says, he goes, being as though it's silly season, what are some of the things JQ looks for in a person when signing them to represent his brand? And Nick Johnston goes, a pulse. That's funny. What do you look for, Joseph?
I think we are way past the pulse stage.
Yeah. I handle it all mostly now, but what do you look for?
If I was to get involved in signing someone, it would be someone who has the right attitude, really. That's really key. Someone who wants it, someone who wants to be good and puts in the work. And that's really the most important thing. I don't really give a shit about results, to be honest. I don't care that you finished second at the Florida Regionals in 2018. Like, I really don't give a shit about results. It's more about the person, their attitude, what their goals are, what they're doing. That's what matters.
Okay.
So results don't matter, really.
All right.
Because the results will come if the attitude is right. You do the right things. And also, it's not even always about the results. Sometimes it's just a guy that's influential in his region, a nice guy, helpful guy. You know, someone to build a team around.
Yes. A leader of sorts. Somebody who...
Yeah.
I will take somebody who doesn't care what... Because, you know, like we cover it all the time. When you join JQ, you're going to get some shit. Like, you know, people give people shit. In fact, I was talking to one of our drivers today over in Asia, and he was telling me how his so-called friends are treating him after he announced, you know, that he's staying with JQ for 2020, and the reaction from him. And I said, man, you know, that's part of the what goes on when you're with us. And are they really your friends if they're telling you that? Like, so anyway, I said, jealous is a bitch. So, you know, don't worry about it. You know, the best way to silence people who talk a lot of shit is beat them on the track. So, yeah, I definitely would. I prefer people that, I always say this, believe in what we're doing and have the right attitude. Like, they don't care what people think. They don't care about what people say. They like what they're doing. They like what that brand's doing. And, you know, just don't be an asshole. Like, you're a big enough ass. Like I said, you're a big enough asshole for the whole team. You don't need any more assholes on the team. So
I'd like some more assholes on the team, to be honest.
I know you would. Anyway, yeah, I think
assholes with a good heart.
All right. This question actually is kind of to what we talked about last week, but let's ask it. Tom Petrella. The Traxxas / brought a lot of new blood into the off-road scene, but the class seems to have evaporated. Stock racing has become a spending war. What class do you think could create the next wave of new blood? I thought a two-wheel drive spec class, however, it could be tougher on outdoor tracks. But he says,
covered this.
Yes, I'm just asking his question. By example, the increased popularity of the Tamiya Euro trucks for on-road has grown significantly, partially due to the low cost to enter the class, and the rules against modifications make it more cost-effective to remain competitive. We did touch on this last week. We said rally car, right, would look cool. But I want to touch. Yeah. I want to touch on the Euro truck. I got to when I stopped at RC Riot in Albuquerque. Mike and Jeff Amos, they just took that over. I got to try a Euro truck, and I thought it was really fun. It looks real. You have to use, I believe they come with an ESC, a motor. You can put a battery in there. You have to use stock tires. The only thing you can do to the tires is glue the sidewalls, which makes it better for carpet. And I think it's a great beginner class for people to get into RC. I think a kit costs $200. I'm probably wrong. And they look really cool. I would love to have a place to race Euro trucks right now. I would prefer it on carpet, but I think it's a great class. And I see that GT has some bodies for it to make it look like they have a GT Nitro 8-scale Euro truck class. So I think that's pretty good as well. So I'm all about the Euro truck, man.
Yeah, they raced them at Revelation also.
Yes.
On the road track.
Yes. Pete Phillips says, now that the infamous fight video has been posted and removed, it hasn't been removed. It's still on YouTube. What is the best way to deal with someone that throws hands at a race? Let the law handle it, ban them from the track, shame them, blah, blah, blah. Well, Pete, we'll cover that in the rant because that's what the rant's going to be all about. We don't need to talk about that twice. Corey Jordan. If we want to bring new people into RC, then why don't we have races at theme parks like Six Flags, Disney World, fairs, or car shows? Well, I definitely think I've seen races. People have races at fairs and car shows. I don't know if we could get a race at Disney World. I mean, that would be pretty crazy. You know what was fun? Well, I don't know if you ever been to Disney World or was it Epcot Center? I can't remember. They had these remote control boats that you used to control like with a steering wheel and all that, and like a throttle, and driving around this little pond. I thought that was so cool. I used to like go over there and just spend my entire day trying to race, just to navigate those boats. What do you think about that, Joseph?
There is some already. I mean, there are some races that are at, in shopping malls or at some fairs or these things. But the problem is that it's all done on volunteer work. It's hard to do. It costs money. So that's why there aren't that many. It's hard to organize.
Yep.
Costs money. Takes time.
Yep.
For what? For what reward? Just so maybe the industry can grow. Like, it's hard enough just to have a track and a race. This isn't an industry where people are making tons of money. It's like, oh yeah, let's spend some money and invest and grow it, make it even bigger and have the races here. It doesn't work that way. It's like, yeah, it's hard.
It is. Like we always talk about the Milton Keynes GP or the British GP or MKGP or whatever it's called in England that they done last year. I also, one of our listeners from Scotland, I believe it's from Scotland, was showing me where they did a race at a car show. Maybe it was a drift show or whatever. So that's cool. Joe Zaire talked about the race that they had at the big snowmobile swap meet. So there's people out there doing it. I like RCGP's thoughts of doing it along motocross race, like an actual real race with professionals, like, an RCGP race. So I think that's one of the ways to go. But every little bit helps. But like you said, it's a lot of work. It's all done on volunteer and it costs money, man. Somebody has to pay for it. So yeah. Good ideas, Corey. Jeremy Oldman. I'm looking at going to DNC 2020. If you could bring 2 to 3 sets of tires per car, what ones would you bring? And he asked, or can we average Joes buy tires trackside? I believe Proline sells tires, AKA sells. Not too sure about J Concepts because it's West Coast and they're more East Coast. You went to the surface. You've raced on that surface, that type of dirt before. What would you recommend somebody have in their tire arsenal, Joseph?
Well, he didn't say a brand, but basically a small pin like Whole Shot from Proline, Triple D, J Concepts, Gridiron, AKA. Probably you want super soft and soft. So I don't know what the Proline guys run, but yeah, the two softest ones. J Concepts, you'd want green and blue, and then you also need something for if the track gets a bit dry when Joe gets lazy about watering, dry, dusty, bumpy, rough. So maybe you want a bigger pin like an Impact or a Blockade, or maybe that Cosmos from J Concepts. So you have a small pin and a big pin. So those are really the ones that you need. And then if you want, you get something which is sort of in between those. So maybe the Proline guys would run. What was the one we had at RCGP?
The Buckshot.
Buckshot. Yeah, maybe they'd run the Buckshot, or maybe there's another one that I can't remember, which is like a medium pin. J Concepts, maybe Reflex. Yeah. I know some people run Reflex, AKA. What do they have? AKA don't really have a tire like that. I mean, some people run double downs, but I don't see how that would be a good tire there. One tire which is like sneakily good, which I think would work there from AKA is Chain Link.
Really? Why so?
Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
It just is like, it's so easy. It doesn't have much side bite, and it's depending on how the track develops. I think that could be a good one in super soft.
Okay.
But yeah, small pin and big pin, and the two softest compounds. That's what you need.
I think Jeremy and his son are coming. They're JQ drivers, so they're pretty excited. They'll be pitting with us, so should be good. And they can buy tires. They're AK. Well, I know Proline AK will be selling. So, and
yeah.
All right. Scooter Allison has a question, but I think this might actually be better for the invisible speed segment. So we'll save that for that. Will McIver. This is a pretty decent question. He goes, do you think we will see any European style tracks in the US, multi-surface and huge layouts?
Well, I didn't think that we'd see this many carpet tracks in the US. So maybe one day.
Yeah.
The problem in the US is people tend to want new layouts all the time. I actually prefer it when the layout stays the same because you can see progress. You can progress throughout the year, and you can also progress, from year to year, because you know the lap times, you know what you're supposed to do. So I actually prefer tracks which stay the same for a few years and then maybe have an update. But in America, it's like a few months and then new layout.
Yeah.
So that's why there's no sort of Euro style multi-surface tracks here.
It'd be great, man, to see like a concrete corner or a cobblestone corner. I think one of the features that I've always liked on a track was when Lance Norrick had the Farm 2, and he had that, that downhill section that had buried logs, like where they were just sticking up above the dirt, maybe an inch or two. And they made like this rumble section for about 15 feet. I thought that was just one of the coolest features ever. And one of the crappiest features ever has always been a sand pit. I don't like them.
That's my favorite.
I mean, Lance had a nice one, a short one, a small one. But then remember that the first race at Boulder City, they had the entire back straight as a sand pit for Silver State.
The entire track was a sand pit.
Yeah. Well, the first race at Boulder City, 2005, when I first met you, I got sick. And the whole back straight was just sand. Not like it wasn't packed or anything. So every time you went there, it was a different line. Remember that?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, okay. If you say so. If you say so. Jeff Keaton. When's that Jeff guy coming back on the show? He made it to the show. And he laughs. Ha 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 ha. I talked to Jeff the other day. He's bowling. Taking a break from Facebook. He's been bowling, he says. Like actual like bowling. It's like, yeah, I'm taking a little break from RC and bowling. So
what did he do to be banned from the podcast?
I haven't he's not banned from the podcast. Well, he did rant on RCGP, but I didn't ban him because of that. We haven't been able to get, you traveled a bit. He's been busy working. He was working. He's also in, so it is what it is. We'll get him on and have an epic rant, I think. I want to see you two go at it again.
Yeah, we should come up with a good topic for a rant. Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, okay.
What does he always complain about? RCGP, hobby or a sport?
Yeah.
I don't know, something that's close to his heart.
Yeah.
I need to rant about that.
Ken Spencer, do you think running on-road would make you a better dirt driver? Dagani says so.
I think so. I think so, yeah. You learn racing lines and corner speed.
I mean, look at guys like Coelho. I can't say his name properly. You always correct me. Coelho. Reinhard. They're fast. On and off road. So it's definitely, but they're very talented too. But I don't know. Could a guy like Balastri come over and be dominant in on-road and off-road right away? Do you think?
No.
Yeah,
because he can't jump.
Yeah.
But off-road drivers can go to on-road.
Exactly.
Way easier than the other way. But what I'm saying is, if an off-road driver races and practices off-road, it teaches him things about driving, which will help him in off-road.
I agree. I think a decent off-road driver can be a really good on-road driver. So I like on-road.
It's not even about that. I don't know if they can be good on-road. There's nothing special that way. It's just that if you do it, you will learn things that will help you in off-road. That's my point.
I agree. Corner speed, line choice.
I'm not saying that who's good at off-road now. Ongaro. So I'm not saying that Ongaro can just go to on-road and be a great on-road driver because he races off-road. No, maybe he's good at on-road just because he's a good driver.
Right, I get that.
What I am saying is, if an off-road driver goes and runs on-road, they will learn things, realize things, notice things about driving, about doing corners, about what's a fast lap, which they don't notice in off-road. And thus, it helps them. Capiche?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Ben Robbins says, how tall is JQ in feet and inches? And I asked him, why? Are you going to dig a hole in the desert to bury him? And he says, nope, I want to knit him a onesie. So he wants to know how tall you are, dude.
6'4".
Okay. Joseph Cood. What's the link for the GoFundMe to fix Keenan's arm? We haven't done one yet. But we do have a GoFundMe to help me go to Fall Brawl. And thank you to everybody that has donated something so far. I appreciate it. Are we going to Fall Brawl now?
Really?
Yeah.
How much did you get?
I'm not. I think we're at 250 now. So
how are you going?
Well,
That's not enough for anything.
I know, but I'll take whatever I get and then put the rest in. Or you'll put the rest in.
What do you mean you? What do you mean you put the rest in?
You will put the rest in. Let me correct myself.
No, I won't.
Okay, well, I'll be there. Don't worry.
People buy more shirts, okay? We still got 30 non-MRC podcast shirts.
Yeah.
And if those sell out, then yeah, there you have it.
Yeah. And you know what? We got a nice new toy to do some better pit walk interviews. It'd be a lot not as loud. It'd be a lot quieter, better quality. So looking forward to that. We put this money right back into the podcast. It's going to be great in 2020. Still got to get some software. Call-ins. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Rex,
yeah, there's some podcast updates coming.
Yeah.
People need to wait, but probably in December they'll be announced and released.
Yeah, should be good. Rex Welch, again, about this video where the driver punched the other driver. He goes, Keenan White, what is your thoughts if JQ was the recipient of the punches? Well, I actually think that I would let you get punched once. And then when I saw you getting punched too many times, I'd then stop it. I probably, yeah. I know. I don't really condone that. I mean, we came close that time in 2018 at HB. When the HB guys, and all that started, I really thought we was gonna have a big rumble. I'm glad we didn't. But I don't condone that at all. But I don't know. Maybe you need a good slap. A slap. I don't want nobody punching you.
I've been slapped.
Ah, yeah.
You know what?
He's like, hey, I've been slapped.
Did I tell you?
I say it with pride.
About that? Yeah. Tyler Vick's dad in 2003 or 4 or something. Did I tell you?
No, you didn't.
About the new segment for the podcast.
Oh, the story segment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? That's a story for the story segment.
Yeah.
Those are the things.
Because
those are the things you can learn.
Yeah.
When JQ got slapped at the RC track.
Yeah, and a guy.
These are the stories we can tell.
Yeah, a guy.
We just need a sponsor.
Yes, a guy actually asked me. He says, "Man, I want to hear more about you and myself and your adventures, from our trips." And I was actually looking at, we was in Argentina this time last year. Wow, 2 years ago. Such a good trip, and all the memories come up on the podcast. I mean, on my Facebook, and yeah. I hope we get back to South America. Well, we're supposed to go to the Worlds next year, so should be good. Brazil. But yeah.
2 Josephs have ordered shirts.
Excuse me?
2 Josephs have ordered shirts.
Oh, okay.
Joseph JQ Showers. That's how I wrote his name. And Joseph Q.
Well, Joseph Q. Thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Mr. Showers.
Joseph Q. Q'd.
Yeah, well, he's the one who just asked the question about the GoFundMe, and he was on the podcast a couple episodes back talking about on-road. So thank you for the support, guys. Ricardo Faust, Mexico, nice guy, really nice guy. Team Mexico, Team S Works. This is actually a question that we're probably going to end up talking about. Should we give some thought on devising a system that organizes driver sponsorship for all brands, an agreement between all brands limiting the quantity of sponsored drivers accordingly to each country, public roster, and percentage of level of sponsoring for non-factory drivers, with the idea of protecting car manufacturers and their distributor economies? And he says, what do you think? Well, I will say this. S-Works has been doing a lot of sponsoring lately, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
S-Works is the new Durango.
I don't know that.
It's not going to last. There's no way. It's not going to last. I'm not saying they'll go bankrupt, but I don't think they will. They aren't. They seem smarter than what Durango was.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the effort they're doing now, what they're trying to do, it's not going to work. So they'll stop doing it.
Well, Max is really.
It will still exist. It will still be a brand, but they won't be this aggressive, spending all this money, giving out the deals they are, because they'll see like it's not worth it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they just recently got Ravaglia, which was a good pickup for them in Italy. I know pretty much who they're going to get her in America as well. So I don't know, but what do you think about his question about should we?
It's never going to happen.
It isn't, because you know why it won't happen? Because the bigger brands will need more all the time. Whereas
it would be good if we lived in a world where everyone wasn't sponsored and we had real customers.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. I hope we get to that point.
I don't think so, because it's not unique to RC. I know somebody in the cycling industry, and it's exactly the same. No different.
Yeah.
So, but if we did that, like he's talking about basically splitting up, like people have certain agreements, like each company has an agreement. Well, I get what he's saying, and it sounds all good on paper, but the issue is JQ Racing can survive on a smaller amount than Associated can, but Associated also gets retail sales. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It would take all the teams coming together. It would take one thing that all the teams have not managed to do yet, and that's come together to work together. So first we'd have to do that. All the teams would have to come together, managers, owners, and say, okay, this is what we want to do, blah, blah, blah. Let's do it this way. So we ain't cutting each other's throats doing this. But it just ain't going to happen, because I feel like the bigger companies will always have to have more, because they have to have it. They have much more overhead than us. Like two idiots and talking on mics, like, you know. But I don't know, man. I don't know. In a perfect world, that would be great, but I just don't see it happening, because we can't even get them to come together to support a race series yet. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But we shall see. We shall see. Man, I think you have so Dylan Hunter, and this is I want to talk about this, because what do you think needs to happen to get more people into RC racing? Well, I don't know if you saw, but Ryan, what are you doing? What are you scratching on?
Writing fucking labels for all these shots.
Can you stop for a second? Like I can hear it.
No.
So, you remember that video Ryan Lutz posted up about a month ago from his onboard view from Padova?
Yeah.
That almost has 1 million views on YouTube.
I think it has.
That is super impressive. Like, but I think a couple outside of RC companies kind of got it on their website.
Yeah, and I saw it on Daily Mail.
Yeah. So that's good. We got RC in front of them, but I mean, an FPV view. But imagine if that was like a race and that got that many views. People were like, oh man.
There needs to, I don't know. There needs to be a simple way for people who like it to see more, get more excited, and then get involved. You know, that's kind of still missing. You still have to make too much of an effort to find out stuff. You know, You see that, oh, cool video. Most people just see it, oh, cool video, and don't think any more of it. But then some kid sees it and kind of likes it, what's he gonna do? Like, where's he gonna go? Like, how does that, him liking that video, how does that transfer into him actually?
Well,
getting a car and starting RC as a hobby.
It's better than, I think
it's better than nothing. But what's the next step? Like, how can these situations be taken advantage of? How can we make it so easy for people to join in? That's the link that's missing. We need to figure that out.
Yeah, and congratulations to Ryan Lutz. I know he's a good guy, and that's really good for him. It's a really good video, actually. Like, you can see all the counter steering. Man, those cameras. I think Ronafalk has one too. The stability of those cameras is so impressive.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah,
and also good promotion for Associated.
Really?
Yeah, because you see the huge Associated banner when he's doing that.
Okay. I love seeing all the counter steering and all that stuff. I thought it was so cool. So cool.
Yeah, a good track for an onboard video.
Yeah.
Racing lines all black.
Yeah. You know. But imagine if they actually got a video of a race that say RCGP, and like with guys actually racing like that, and it got 1 million plus views. I think it would help people. Like, man, I want to do that too. So, but that's a good step, towards 1 million plus views. I haven't seen anything in RC really get that, not that fast, not in a month.
Well, when Josh Cyril jumped his house, I mean, that got a lot of views.
Yeah. But that
was everywhere.
This is a race. But I get it. It's the FPV. It looks really cool. So I get it. It's 3 minutes long. Perfect. So, congratulations, Lutz, man. I thought it was great. It's great. Any exposure to RC outside of the RC media outlets is really good, in my opinion. So, excellent. But we just need to.
That's why it got those views, I think, because it relates to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's first person view, like a real car, but it's a model, it just relates more to the real world, so people are more interested.
Okay. So
if it was a race, it wouldn't get the same.
Probably not. It probably has to be shorter too. Like, it would have to be way shorter. 5 minutes. But yeah,
maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the secret. You put GoPro in the title and you make the thumbnail first person view thing, and it starts off that way, and then you show the race.
Yeah, maybe have a view of both, like the car on the GoPro, like, the GoPro view, and then the car, like, but then obviously you can't race with a GoPro, so I don't know, dude. I don't know. But it's good. Anything that gets what we do in front of 1 million people, I am all about it. And I think you have a secret admirer, Gary O'Brien. Why is JQ so damn sexy? I don't know what he's looking at. No idea.
I was born this way.
Right, unfortunately. David Swan. Has RCGP contacted any of the military service components to see if there would be a sponsor the U.S. rounds of the series? The Air Force is always looking for a way to reach their target market with mechanical aptitude, and RC2 would be the perfect match.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have that Air Force sponsoring RCGP.
I mean, hey, it's a sponsor.
Just a hunch.
It's a sponsor, so I think it's all good. All good.
That's not going to happen.
All right. Chris Boiter. Does anyone use telemetry in Nitro? I see all these 7PXs and stuff, but don't know why I need more channels. I know the response times are better, but I'm really wondering what telemetry and the extra channels do. My pit guy checks my temps, and he says, how do you say that, man? I say telemetry. Are you listening to me?
How do you say it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Telemetry.
Yeah, telemetry.
I don't know.
Seems similar to a a 40 model memory.
Telemetry.
Sorry.
Is it telemetry?
Yeah, it's the Spanish, man.
Telemetry.
Like I'm reading it in Spanish, like in my brain for some reason. And I'm saying it how I would say it in Spanish. Sorry. How do you say it again?
Telemetry.
I
don't know.
Telemetry. That's how you say it. Telemetry. See, I'm an idiot. Jesus. Well, Chris, I'll tell you what. I had a buddy named Alex. I still have a buddy. He's my friend. He races a lot of GT, loves on-road. He's like a really big engine tuning nerd, setup type of science nerd type of dude. So he had the little box that gives you all these readings for the Sanwa, Sanwa M12. So while he was up there racing, I was down there watching the box, and it showed how far each servo went, the temperature at different times, all that type of stuff. He wanted to log all of that because he was, as a big data fanatic. But it worked great. I'll tell you that. Yeah. I mean, I can see where it could benefit to log different, data, but I don't know. You can't really see it in real time when you're driving. Your pit guy can see it. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I thought it was really cool to see all of that stuff. What do you think, Joseph?
Yeah, it's cool, but no one really uses it, I think. It's nice. Maybe there are some hobbyists, who like to tinker and like to know what's happening, and they use it. But in racing, we don't really use it.
Yeah.
We're not at that level.
Mm-hmm. It would be like trying to have that sensors and stuff on your car to see real time, like Formula One, to see real time what's going on, data coming in and what you can do and adjust and all that type of stuff. That would be so cool. We're just so far away from it. But I think it can help on-road a little bit. So, because engine tuning is so important in on-road. Like it really is, because you're at such high RPMs, and that's why he did it. But to see like your throttle input and your steering input, as well as your temperatures throughout your run, so you can tune your engine a little leaner, or you need to, tune a little rich, because it's all about trying to get as much fuel time, as much run time with power in on-road. So that's why they have such low run times. He was trying to get 7 minutes. He was trying to do a 7-minute qualifier on one tank of fuel in his GT. And it's really harder than you think. He was down to like 16% nitro. He had a different head, like a scooped head. Scooped head button to create more compression to make up for running lower nitro. Oh man, he went in deep, really deep. So,
it would be cool. It would be cool if I forgot what I was supposed to say.
It would be cool if you remember what you said. Chris Trudeau, has Joseph ever been punched in the driver's stand? Not that I know of. How many times has Keenan mentally punched Joseph on a daily basis? I mentally punched you.
No, I don't think.
I mentally punched you today when I woke up and saw your Facebook.
I have been punched by a drunk Russian in Helsinki after a night out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But I haven't been punched on the driver's stand.
Mm. Did he punch you hard? Did the drunk Russian punch you hard?
Yeah, it was pretty hard.
Okay. You didn't get knocked out, though. So,
no.
All good stuff. Okay, some Instagram questions. JQ Racing Kev. What would be the best way to monetize or justify sponsorships? Kids want to get deals. Is there any way for them to show what a sponsorship will relate to in sales? What would be the best way to make sponsored drivers accountable? Hashtag Nitro is the glory. I know that JT Barons, and congratulations to Tyler Braun, HB West Coast rep, they have a program like where you have a code and you give that to people. Like basically the same thing that we do with the podcast. Like if you use our promo code, you get a percentage off. But this here kind of shows if you're out there actually promoting his products. And I think that's how you, like, basically the more people you get buying from him and they use your code, they say, hey, use this code and, you know, it helps me out. Then he can monitor. I think this is it. I read it a few years ago. I don't know if he's still doing it. But then he can monitor who's actually pulling their weight in the sponsorship game. As for...
I've tried those kind of things. It's just not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
People are so lazy. It's just too much work for nothing. It's like if people actually made an effort and did that, then it would be good. But, yeah.
How about... Okay, well, I don't know. What else can we do to make them accountable? It's difficult, man. People have real lives too. I understand that, man.
Yeah, this is just a hobby for most. So
yeah. So I tell people all the time, what do you expect out of me as a JQ driver? Race, have fun and represent. 2, be involved in with your team online and at the track. 3, don't be an asshole. That's simple. That's all I ask.
Or be an asshole with a good heart.
Shut up. Enrique Maloney from Italy. Big fan of the podcast. I believe he has a JQ as well. Now, JQ is probably going to hate this, but what do you think about low profile heads on engines? Do they actually affect the CG and the performance of the car, or is it just a myth or placebo?
It does actually affect the car.
Really?
Yep.
Why aren't you running one?
Honestly, I have one, but I haven't run it because of the whole heat thing. Like I'd rather have my engine run cooler. But yeah, maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah, you should. Well, remember back in the day, the O'Donnell heads, and everybody wanted them because they looked cool, but really they were heavier than the regular heads. So they was putting more weight up high, but it looked cool to do it.
Yeah, maybe it gave you more grip.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it just made it heavier and it just, I don't know. You have to try it out. I don't know. Well, that actually ends our questions for this week. So we have to go on to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment.
You are now locked in to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Check out AssaultRC.com for the latest products for all your performance RC needs. Featuring the best lubes and specialty tools on the market. Use promo code LEFTY19 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at AssaultRC.com.
Welcome to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. This is the part of the podcast that we try to stump JQ, aka Rupert, or answer your setup questions. So, Joseph, this week's question actually comes from Scooter Allison, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic. And he wants to know what's more important, have your front and right and rear geometry correct, or the right tire for the track surface?
Define right. Like if you have a car that's designed badly and the geometry is off, it doesn't matter what tires you put on, it's going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to suck a bit more or suck a bit less. It's going to suck without traction or suck with traction. You know, so it's whatever.
But
if you have any sort of decent, good car on the market and you don't have that real perfect arm height or link position or something, but it's still sort of standard. Like if you have a black edition and you don't run the setup we recommend, you've moved some things around, then the tires will be more important than that because it's still going to work.
Right.
It's kind of in the ballpark anyway.
Well, tires can hide a poorly set up car. That's always been said.
But it won't hide a badly designed one. Okay,
that's actually, yeah, I agree with that. How about when it comes to spec? Now, when everybody's on spec tire, then you have to work on your geometry to get it right.
Well, then you have to work on your setup. That's right.
So, I guess so. Basically, what you're trying to say is you need both of them. But if you had no time to make those adjustments to your geometry and whatnot, like you just got to the track, you're in a rush, which usually is your case because you always get to things late. What would you do? Would you just
if you have a good car already, then you just the tires would be more important. But if you have a car where the geometry is way off, it's not going to work. You know, or that's
now. What if
you have a car that you get it to work really well on one track, then you go to a different track, different conditions, and it sucks. The reason for that is that the geometry is off. The roll centers, all that stuff, it's messed up. You made it work in one condition, then it doesn't work in the other condition because it's out of whack. That's the designer's job to figure that out and make a car that you can have one setup and it works everywhere. Then you just fine tune it, change tires, sway bars, springs, shock coils. That's all you do.
Now, okay, that makes sense. And remember, because tires, like we're going to Fallborough here shortly, and that track is all about tires and temperature. It's going to be good when the sun's out. You know, you're going to have lots of traction and everything else. But as soon as that sun, in the morning time, and as soon as that moisture comes up, and at nighttime, that track gets slick as snot.
Yeah, but even there, the thing is, for example, when I've been there in the past, my car has always been really good. Every time I go on the track, pretty much, it's good. It's just that sometimes there's more grip and I'm faster. Sometimes there's less grip and I'm slower, but it still feels good.
Now, so I guess my question...
That's a tire thing.
Yeah, my question would be, how do you know... Okay, you as a much more experienced driver than me and more in tune with your car, how do you know your car is good, but it's just the tires? Like what type of... Like what do you feel? Like what's indications to you?
Well, I think you can always improve the car also because you can make changes to the car where you can get more grip out of the tires that you have. So, but how do you know it's the tires?
How do you know it's like your car is good, but your tires are off? Like what is some indications for you?
Well, you truly know if you try the other tires.
But you don't
That's
have
how
to.
You know.
Okay. But
if you don't try the other tires, you can't know for sure. You can have a hunch, but you don't know. But if you try the other tires, then you know. So let's say you're at the track, you're running X tires, and everyone that's going fast is running Y tires, and you've tried all kinds of setups, and you just don't have the traction. Then you try the Y tires, and you're instantly fast and on the pace. Okay, you know that it's the tires, but you have to try them to know. Because maybe you'll try Y tires and you go the same speed. You're like, well, what the fuck? You know, and I think that's actually what often happens. People just blame the tires, but then if they actually tried them, they wouldn't be any faster.
Because of their poor setup car.
Yeah, or they aren't just fucking driving well enough. You know, maybe there's a section on the track that they're losing a lot of time because they're not carrying their corner speed or not hitting the right line or slowing down too early or something. Right. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you, Scooter, for the question. And thank you, Joseph, for answering. Let me call you back for the JQ Racing Rant.
Do you know what an average RC person thinks about every 3 seconds? RC cars, of course. But who can blame us? We're excited about the good stuff, the cars that endure those long safaris, and the parts that make you that 0.1 seconds faster on the racetrack. Those moments to ourselves when we close the door to the outside world just to hear that high-pitched racing beast even louder. So this is for us, from racer to racer. Euro RC, just RC, no bullshit. Please go to www.eurorc.com. Use promo code NNRC to save you some money on your orders.
So what's up, everybody? Joining us on episode 52 is a gentleman that's, I would say he's well known in RC. People know him. He's from Colorado. He's a TLR driver, mostly 10 scale, who does venture into nitro. I would like to see him race some more 8 scale. But I'd like to introduce Zeke Ballinger. What's up, Zeke? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm just here recording with you. How's things going in Colorado? Starting to get cold there yet?
Yeah, it's cold. So it hasn't got to the part where it's super snowy yet, but the high is about 50, 55 is usually our average right now. So too cold to go outside and really run 8 scale, but
right. So you have what part of Colorado are you in exactly?
for people that kind of have a vague idea, I'm about an hour and a half south of DIA, where the airport is in Denver.
Okay.
So it's Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay. All right. I have a buddy that I actually work for a company out of Colorado Springs, actually, when I went to Ecuador. They do shotcreting.
Okay.
And my buddy who got me that job and used to race RC, he lives in Grand Lake, something like that. It's up some mountain. I'm sure they're okay. We're talking about the Rockies, so of course there's mountains everywhere, but I can't remember the name. I was supposed to go there on the way over to the DNC this year, but it was just too snowy and we couldn't drive the janky JQ van up a mountain and down a mountain without snow tires. So yeah, one day I'll get to Colorado. Definitely a state I want to visit. So in case you guys don't know who Zeke is a pretty fast driver. He got to go to the Worlds. That's when I first kind of knew who he was, from you going to the Worlds in 2017. But I just want to, Zeke was born without arms. He's born, how would you explain it to us, please, Zeke?
I have short little arms. They end probably a couple inches above where my elbows would be. Mm-hmm. And so I call them my Stubs, and that's where I got my nickname. So all my cars have stubs on the window. My shirts have stubs on them.
Okay.
I've always put stubs on my shirts because I feel like it's a way for people see that on my shirt and they'll be more open to asking me,
right?
Or coming up and talking to me.
Embrace it.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like Lefty. I embraced that. I kind of fought it at first. The Ghani kept he was mesmerized by my arm. And then I was like, stop calling me that. And then I just said, all right, you know what? I'll just embrace it. And then he still finds other things to tease me about. But, that's how it goes when you bust your balls with your friends and stuff like that. So, yeah, Zeke is born with short arms. He is a good wrench, and he races. And I think it's super impressive that you do that, man. So I wanted to get you on her and have your story. And you have a really good grasp of what's going on RC as well. So I wanted to get you on her to talk about that and whatnot. But let us know, man. You grew up in Colorado, right? As well.
Yep.
And I was reading an interview about you. And when you grew up, you used to play soccer. You played football, as I call it, and you also was a goalie in hockey. So
yeah, I started playing when I was young. When the Colorado Avalanche moved here, I started watching hockey and told my parents that I wanted to play. And with everything in life growing up, my parents never told me that I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. They just, they went out, got me a stick and, a puck and basically figure it out. Like, if you want to do something, you can figure it out. And so, yeah, I started playing, and then I played all the way up till I was 16 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I played up till I was 16. And then here in Colorado, when you turn 17, then you go to a 17 and over league. Mm-hmm. And although I was never an awesome goaltender. Right. I was pretty good. I always played on our A team. We always had an A and a B team. So I was good enough to always be the starter on the A team. But when I got to the 17-year-old league, the level of competition was too good, and they could exploit my weakness in my arms. Okay. And I felt like I was letting my friends down, and I kind of just stopped playing. I still love hockey. I go to a bunch of the games. I watch all the games on TV. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I got to the point that I felt like I was not good enough, and it wasn't something that I could practice at my arm being short on one side just left more net open. And when you got to a certain age, playing against better competition, they were always going to shoot there. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yes.
And so I decided to kind of step away from playing. But
yeah, well,
and that's honestly what I like about RC the best is when I get beat, it's not because of my arms. I just got beat.
Yeah,
and I like that. You know,
RC is for everybody. Rest in peace, Trevor Parrish and his brother. Not Tyler Parrish. Sorry, Tyler passed away, but Tyler and Trevor Parrish, I think they're paraplegics, or where Tyler was. Trevor still. Tyler just recently passed away. Do you know the Parrish family? You know them?
I didn't know them, but towards the end, when Jared Tebow posted some stuff about going to visit the family and that kind of stuff, I kind of did some snooping and looked around, and yeah, it seemed like he was pretty fast.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting both of them and their parents. And they're really nice people, like really good family. And their dad worked so hard for those guys. And RC was their sport that they can do. Like they can be up on that stand. And yes, they had to have like a special spot so they can see the track and all that stuff. But I think that's a true, and yourself is a true testament that RC is for everybody, man. I mean, I don't think a blind person can do it, but I definitely, I think anybody can do RC. That's the beautiful thing about it. So
yeah, when we do Race and Mate Skill, I believe they're from New Mexico or the part of Texas that kind of sticks out underneath, like the El Paso area. But the Showers family.
Oh yeah, Corbin. Good people.
Corbin's super fast. I've raced with them a couple times.
Yeah. Joseph. I'm really good friends with the Shower family. Joseph and I went to their track last year. And he tried to use Corbin's control and couldn't do his, it's amazing. It's so difficult, but really, really good people. And Joey Showers works very hard as well. So yeah, it's good to see, man. These guys can come be in RC and they can get the same thrill that that I will get, or somebody else who has everything available to them. So that's why I like RC, man. It brings everybody together and anybody can do it. So it's really cool. Just rewinding back about hockey and goalies. Joseph used to be a goalie in Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how, because he's so clumsy. And but I guess that might have been worked to his advantage. But he said he got hit right in his head one time and knocked him down or whatever. But yeah, hockey is nothing I've even watched. I've watched a little bit on television. I'm from an island. We don't have ice or snow. I just know that people I don't even understand how it works. I have to sit down. Maybe if I went to a game, I'll enjoy it. So, yeah, good stuff, man. It's pretty amazing that you're able to play hockey up until 16. So, good stuff, man. Don't let anything stop you. I like that attitude already. So,
yeah, I mean, you have to have that mindset, or I would have never left the house. I would have never had friends growing up, never would have left the house. You just got to go out and do it. If there's something you want to do, you'll figure it out. Yeah. And I think that being born without arms is easier than losing arms for sure. If you were going to tell me that I was going to be 31 and not have hands, sure, it would have been nice to have experiences of having hands or that type of thing. But when our soldiers or whoever get in an accident and they lose their arm, and they have to relearn everything. Yeah. And that's got to be way harder. People ask me how I learned to eat or how I did this, or I just did. I was a baby and I just grabbed the cup. I didn't have to learn things multiple times. And so I don't really know any different. This is just normal to me.
When I got in my accident and lost my arm's a lot better than what it was, man, I had to kind of do the same thing. I couldn't, that amazed me. I couldn't even get out of bed without help at first. I couldn't tie my shoelaces. I couldn't put a belt on. I had to learn all of that stuff. And yeah, I can see what you're talking about, man. You have to relearn stuff.
Yeah, and it's the simple stuff that's the hardest sometimes.
It's
stuff that people wouldn't even think about. And The easy stuff, like driving a car or whatever, like that's all the easy part of my day.
Yeah. You know what's embarrassing for me is cutting a steak or a piece of meat at a restaurant. I can't do it. I can do it. It just looks really silly. So I always get somebody else to do it. I don't know. I'm very conscious about that for some reason.
You know, I usually just ask somebody, you know, it's like, hey, cut this thing up. So
I do too.
Eat all in one. So the hardest part for me, speaking of going out to dinner with your buddies, the hardest part to me is when we get an appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
It's always in the middle. It's always in the middle, and I can't reach it.
Oh man!
And I remember when I first got on TLR, it was me, Frank, Reno, and Chad. Dude, we all went to Outback one night, and Frank's like, "Why aren't you eating any of the?" I don't know if it was one of the bloomin' onions or whatever. I'm like, I can't reach it, dude. And he was like, "Dude, I'm so sorry," and got me a plate and everything. And so then I had to give him crap for it, but
yeah. I wouldn't have, you know what? I probably wouldn't have noticed that either myself. So yeah, it's amazing, man. It really is amazing. I think it's amazing what you do, period. So speaking of RC, when did you get involved in it and how did that come about?
So growing up, I always had RC cars, nothing like hobby grade, but I always had RC cars you get for Christmas and that kind of stuff. And when I first started driving, because all your basic, cheap, ready-to-runs are always right-handed, because that's what the majority of people are, I would actually steer with my chin and then use my right arm, which I guess I can move on the end. Mm-hmm. Almost like it almost acts as if I have one finger on the end, like I have some movement in it. And that's what I would use for the throttle. And so I would steer with my chin and use my right arm for the throttle. And then I want to say 15, 16 years old, me and a good buddy of mine, we got a couple of like Savage X monster trucks from HPI. And we would just go to the park and, jump the what do you call them? Like, the slides and just, or like the skate ramps. And we actually met up with a guy and he had asked us if we ever were into racing. And his name was Davey Jones, and he used to do a lot here for the RC community as far as hosting like mini Z races in school gyms and just all kinds of stuff. Well, him and another gentleman that races here in Colorado, they actually owned Colorado Fast Track. That's where the 2010 Roy Nationals were. Okay. And they invited me out. And so we ran Monster Truck one night in Novice, and I broke every round, because the track was pretty gnarly. But I went home and ordered everything. Yeah. Like, it took me 3 batteries, and I was like, this is so sick.
What did you get? What did you buy yourself? You remember?
So I, when we were there, I actually met Cody and Larry Newmandahl. Okay. And they were super friendly and super nice, and Larry helped me a bunch. And so I actually went and bought an Associate RC8, like the original RC8. That's kind of when I got started. And then I raced Nitro only for about a year and a half. And then when I got married, between married life and work and all that stuff, I just kind of stopped racing and still just tinkered around and kind of went back to bashing or whatever. Yeah.
And then you found electric. Electric is the glory?
No. So it's going to sound crazy, but I still prefer 8-scale. I still prefer Nitro.
I don't think that's crazy at all, because Nitro is the glory.
I'm a 10-scale guy. Right. And I spend probably 95% of my racing or track life at a 10-scale track, but I still enjoy the 8-scale stuff more. Yeah. So I took like a 4.5-year break, and then me and my wife ended up getting a divorce, and I was pretty down in the dumps and didn't have anything to do, and ended up buying a 10-scale car. There was a track here in the Springs that ended up closing probably a year or two after I got back into it. But that's where I started racing 10-scale, and I guess one thing led to another. That was about 6 years ago. So I've been racing like really hardcore racing for about 6 years now.
Yeah. So 10 scale, you just do 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive, I take it, right?
Yeah, two-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and then if I drive to a big event, I'll run mod truck too.
Okay. I like truck. I think I'll do 2-wheel drive and truck if I did anything in 10 scale. So,
I think truck, I think the rules need to be updated. I think the trucks have way too much power now. Chassis are way too short. It's basically a competition of who can wheelie from corner to corner the best.
So you want longer chassis?
Yeah, maybe not short course length.
Mm-hmm. But something in between.
Yeah, I mean, all the rules, if you look at all the rules for all the classes, especially for 10 scale, they were all designed when they were running brushed motors and Nicats.
Yeah.
And so I think if the trucks had a little bit longer wheelbase,
They'll be better.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
They're still fun to drive. They're
Yeah.
just, a lot of times, they're probably the hardest car out of the whole, out of the three, they're probably the hardest one to drive because the front tire's so big.
Mm-hmm. I was driving my MST a few years back here at a track, a local glue track, and I just was having fun doing wheelies down the straightaway. It was just really out of nowhere. And that was a gas truck. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're all right. I think like the rules you just talked about in 10 scale, lots of things have to be looked at in RC, in the governing bodies and whatnot, and upgraded to 2020. So
yeah, for sure.
That's actually a conversation we can have in a bit. So you got back in, you went hardcore, you went hard. So you're racing. Did you figure out a better way to hold your control and race with it? Yeah,
so I actually ended up switching to a left-handed radio at some point, and I was using a Spectrum radio, and I was actually holding the radio by the antenna in my mouth so I wouldn't drop it off the driver's stand. And then I was using my left arm to steer and my right arm for throttle. And we were at a nitro race, and Cody's dad was pitting for me. And he yelled up, and I yelled back down, but I had the antenna in my mouth. And after the race, he was giving me shit, and it was just like, why do you run with that stupid antenna in your mouth? I'm like, I don't want to drop my radio. And it like hadn't occurred to him that that's why I was doing it.
Right.
And so the next week I came back to the track, he was like, here, try this out. And he actually like molded me a sling that my radio slides into, that I put a strap around my neck so I don't have to worry about dropping my radio.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been using he's made me one new one since that point. When I switched to an M12 a couple years ago, and still using it.
Yeah. Like I was telling you earlier, I cannot drive. I can drive, but I cannot drive a car without a lanyard because of my arm. So yeah, that was a lifesaver for you, dude. Like,
yeah, I can do it without it.
Mm-hmm.
But the last thing you want to be doing when you're driving is thinking, am I dropping this or is it slipping? You just need to drive.
Okay.
And so that was the biggest thing for me, is I didn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. That's good, man. Your friends, like we go back to like the guy, like Frank and them guys didn't realize you couldn't reach the appetizers. People, we take what we like, people with everything and no real issues, we take it for granted so much that we don't really see the difficulty of other people. I see people do it with me sometimes, like, so that's cool, man. I'm glad you figured that out because, one day you was probably going to drop it when you open up your mouth to say something to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Now, wrenching. You do wrench on all your own stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm capable of doing the majority of it. A good buddy of mine, Isaac,
the Pulsinator.
He glues all my 10 scale tires for me.
Okay.
I feel bad for him.
Isaac's good
I'll
people.
call him and be like, hey man, I'm out, and we'll spend an afternoon and we'll glue a bunch of sets. Because unfortunately my home track is pretty hard on tires.
Okay.
So it's 2 to 3 pairs every time I go to run mod. Like on a practice day, I need 2 sets of rears and a set of fronts minimum. For most of the life. When the track's new, the first 2 or 3 weeks, it's not that bad, but the last 3 or 4 weeks, it gets pretty abrasive. I've got another buddy that races with us that'll come over and help me sometimes, just so that it doesn't take me so long. Where a normal person could say rebuild a two-wheel drive in say 4 hours, it takes me maybe 12, just because it takes me longer. It's not that I'm not unable to do it.
Right.
And so I learned very early that maybe not so much for club racing, but when we go to a big race, I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but there's very few people in that building that are more prepared than I am.
Got you.
When we get there.
Because you have to do it beforehand.
Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons why I really don't like flying to events. I thought I was the only one that had this issue. And then Dustin Evans is from Colorado. And we both run for Proline. And so he can't glue tires here. I don't know if it's the elevation because we're so high.
Right.
But when we fly to other places, when we get there, our foams are ruined.
Interesting.
So then we have to re-foam everything. And then when we get home, they're fine.
Wow.
But the weird thing is if we glue tires at the event, we can bring them home and they don't change.
Interesting.
And so we've tried everything to not get them ruined. So it doesn't seem as bad when we drive. And so I prefer to drive to events so that I try and have the majority of everything that I need glued up and sanded or whatever the case may be for wherever we're going, so that I'm less of a burden to the guys I'm traveling with.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's always something that's going to come up where I'm going to need a set or something happens and that kind of thing. But when we go to races, like I travel with my buddy Travis, he runs for TLR a lot. And so we'll drive to these events. He's got stuff to get ready when we get there.
Right.
And so I try and do as much as I can before we leave. So that other than doing shocks and that kind of stuff.
What is one of the things you really detest doing when you're wrenching on your car?
It's probably one of the things that people would never even think about. No arms and spring cups are about the most difficult thing to work on. So
yeah, that's like you would think it's a diff or shocks or that kind of stuff. It is the spring cup. Yeah, because you got to push up the spring, and then that makes so much sense. Wow.
Yeah, that one's a pain in the butt.
Really? Do you use any special tools to help you out or anything like that?
As far as tools, not really. I mean, I use a drill like a lot of guys have. That saves a ton of time. I guess the only thing that I really have that would be different is I have one in a car stand, and then I also have one in one of my pit boards. It's just the bottom shock tool for holding the bottom of the shock body.
Yes.
I actually have it mounted to my pit board.
Okay.
So that when I'm doing shocks, I can slide my pit board off the end of the table.
Yeah, I get it.
And then I set my shock in there and then stick a wrench through the eyelet so I can unscrew it.
That makes sense.
I mean, that's really the only thing that I've modified in all my all of my tools.
I'm trying to think, what do I use? Do I use anything special? Not really. I think one of the hardest things for me wrenching is obviously something that requires two hands. I know what I'm very conscious about. It's about pitting people. If I can catch a car and do it, or I can have somebody catch it and I can do it, but I try not to pit for people, especially Joseph, because he starts making off. He always cursing me off. You're too slow. You can't do it. Get somebody to help you. But it's just difficult, like for me, because my left arm, I can do a lot of things, but it's just, it kind of goes on its own. It goes where it wants to go sometimes, and it's just difficult. So, yeah. Wow. Interesting. Spring cups. Yeah, I think, I'm trying to think if I have difficult doing that. But, yeah, man, it's impressive nonetheless. I can understand why you have to be more prepared. And the whole tire thing, that amazes me too. We're going to have to figure out what's going on with that. It's got to be some scientific reason for that. Got to get some scientists on that stuff. Figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the things I like about 8 scale is I can glue my own tires.
Yeah.
On 8 scale. So I'm less dependent on people. So it's one of the reasons why I like 8 scale.
How do you glue your tires in 8 scale? Do you run it through me? I just want to know.
I have a tire jig.
Oh,
So,
that makes life so much easier.
yeah, you just push the thing down, put glue in it,
Okay.
and then
They need-
unlatch it.
They need to make one for 10 scale, man. But then there's so many.
The problem is the bead.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the bead back in, because there is a company that has a 10 scale tire gluing jig, and I have one, and I've used it with some success, but I wouldn't even say 1 out of every 4. It's probably 1 out of every 8 or 10 tires. You just totally ruin because the bead just doesn't go back in.
Yeah.
It'll do 8 tires perfectly in a row, and then the 9th tire you'll just destroy. And once you glue it messed up, especially in two-wheel drive, you're asking so much of their back tires in two-wheel drive, especially in modified.
That little wobble makes a difference.
Yeah, you can't. It's unrunnable. You just toss it, and so I don't really do it anymore.
Kudos to Isaac Paulson, the Paulsonator. Good guy. Like Isaac a lot. Really nice guy. Helping you out. All right. So, like I said, I got to know about you when you went to the World. So let's walk us through that, how that all happened. How did you qualify for it and eventually end up going, and how was your experience there?
Okay. So, went to the Royal Nationals in 2016, I believe, and I qualified in two-wheel drive. I didn't run four-wheel drive then. I think I ran two-wheel drive, truck, and short bus at that event. I don't know why I ran bus. I think that's the only time I've ever really raced it. But so yeah, I qualified, and then I got my notification letter, and I had no intentions of going. I don't want to say there's definitely people in this world who are definitely far worse off than I am, but I didn't come from money. We come from a very blue collar family. My dad drives a truck for a living. And then with the whole divorce and everything and stuff that happened, I just didn't have a lot of income myself. So I never in a million years ever, even if I would have had the money, I don't think I would have spent the money
to go.
Yeah, because it would have taken me so long to recoup the money.
Right.
You know, and so I got my invitation letter, and originally my plan was just I was going to hang it up in, like, I have like a hallway that I put some of the trophies in that I'm, I guess, proud of. I don't put everything up.
Right.
And so I was just going to put it up there. And so I just happened to post, and I'm like, yeah, it was awesome that I got my letter today. And one thing led to another, and somebody else started a GoFundMe for it. And within, man, I want to say 3 weeks, we raised almost $4,000.
Nice.
And I mean, I won't name names, but all kinds of people in the industry reached out, and
that's awesome.
I could not have been any more grateful. I'm talking pro guys to companies to, it was just an awesome thing that many people wanted me to go. And so, yeah, so,
that's so cool.
They helped me go. Yeah. And so it was in China, and that was a heck of a trip. I've never flown in a plane
that far,
that long before. Yeah. So we get there and everything's good. The facility was unbelievable. Like, it was next to a battery factory.
Yes.
And the facility, the brick and mortar facility, was insane. They probably had 100 or 200 workers there.
Wow.
Everyone remembers the famous pictures. They had paid marshals for practice, and there was one. They all had shin guards and helmets, and one guy was wearing his helmet on backwards, and like had no idea.
So I see that all the time.
That was, and so there was a lot about the event that was absolutely awesome. That was the worst track I've ever driven on in my life, even before it rained.
But it didn't matter. You was there.
Yeah, because IFMAR states that two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive have to have a different track.
Right.
Right? And instead of doing what they did at the Huddy Arena, where they still hit all the jumps the same direction, so you had clear takeoffs and clear landings, they basically built this track, and it was all landers. None of the jumps had any lip.
Okay. Yeah, that sucks.
And so you're driving this 10-scale two-wheel drive car, and the tires ended up being, I guess, the right compound after it rained. But when we first got there, and the sugar, because they used molasses, so the track was sticky, but we were on extreme super soft tires. So the cars wiggled because the tires were too soft. And then it rained. The government, there was a huge thing how, and Corey Drockenberg, he does the Proline videos. He actually got a little clip from it. The government made it rain because China was in a severe drought. They shot these sulfur rockets or something up in the sky, and it made it rain.
No way.
On like day 2 or 3 of the event. And it just absolutely poured on the track, and then it changed the track. And so the grip is mediocre at best, and you're hitting everything wide open to clear the lip of the lander and then jump past it. So everything was the flat. And I wish more people could have gone to the event. Everyone knows Mayfield's super fast, but I remember sitting in the pits in the Associated pits, and the Yokomo pits were farther away from the track than us.
Right.
And Ryan comes off, and he's talking with Spencer and Cab, and he's like, "I'm not jumping it again. Like, it's not happening. Like, I'm not jumping that section. Like, it's stupid. Like, I'm not doing it." And everyone kind of laughed, like, "Yeah, right. To win, you're gonna have to jump that section." And then he went out, and I want to say he TQ'd the first round, or he had like a top 3 run, and he didn't jump a jump.
Yeah.
Like, he went single, double. And I wish more new people
would do that.
Would like understand that, because you don't always have to jump everything. If you're not gonna crash, it's still better.
Yep. I agree, man. That's why I like Mayfield as a driver too. He doesn't hold it back, and he let people know his feelings about the track on the video and all that stuff. And I thought it was great, and he won it. So that was even better at the end of the day.
He makes a good point that, like, IFMAR sends us to the most random places that are nothing like anything that they run on the rest of the year. I'm not even talking about me. I've only been to the one Worlds, but you got all these guys that go to the Worlds every year, especially the 10 scale side. I mean, what IFMAR chooses really changes the hobby.
Yep.
You go back to when they ran the Worlds on turf. Nobody had carpet cars, really. No one had laydowns and all this stuff. One Worlds on turf. Everyone came home, and then it was like laydowns, and that's, in my opinion, when tire prep really got out of hand, because we're trying to make more grip with the tire because the cars themselves don't make as much grip.
Right.
And then they turn around, and then 2 years later, when all the companies have spent all this money developing high grip cars, we go to China, which is on low grip. And so nobody has a specific car, and then the platform that you would.
Yeah. And then again this year.
And then it gets even worse. It's just kind of like, if they want to go high grip and turf and carpet, that's fine. There's pluses and minuses to every surface, but they switch back and forth, and I think that's why some of the guys that went to the warm-up race were so shocked at how low grip it was, because they went with cars that were designed for having 3-4 times the amount of grip minimum. And I heard some stories of the warm-up race when these guys are like, "Dude, they had to put cement on the jump faces so we could get over them." Like, if it was just dirt, it would have been who could single everything the best.
Interesting.
And I don't know if the World's track had more grip, or if everyone was just more prepared for the low grip when they went. But the World's, I mean, it was fun to watch.
Yes,
that was for sure.
I enjoyed it. It was a very hard track to pass on, and you can see. I would like to say that the cars are just so, like, one little mistake and they were just gonna wash out. Like, it had probably had more grip, but you can see it was still tentative. For me, that's how I looked at it. I'm like, yeah, these guys they're going fast, but they're tiptoeing as well. So
I think that's a character trait of all the laydown cars, and I'm not even brand specific. If you look at a lot of the racing now, unless it's insanely high grip and like a sealed surface, there's a clear line. We're all running almost no pin. All the cars have tons of grip, but you can't go that extra half a car wide to go around somebody, because then you go in the dust and then you do a donut. It's literally, racing has kind of become, in 10 scale at least, a single file line, and you just stay where you qualified until someone crashes. And you kind of saw it at the Worlds. No one could really go wide. It was so dusty, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I agree with you though.
I think if they would have had the Worlds last year or this year, say 6 years ago, when everyone still had rear motor cars, with the same people, everything the same, but everyone had rear motor cars, the racing would have been better.
Yeah. I'm surprised nobody went. It was like, people's like, oh, we might go with rear wheel cars. I'm surprised nobody didn't. But I guess they're just not fast enough. Yeah,
they're just not fast enough. Like on when you're in the groove, even on low grip, the laydown just carries more corner speed, and you just you wouldn't be able to compete in qualifying. Like it'd be a great main car, but in qualifying you wouldn't make the main. You just don't have enough speed. I think that's probably what it was.
Yeah. Do you think, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because we got talking about the nationals, 10 scale nationals, is going back to the track at Gaithersburg. It was there 2017. Was it 2017? It was there, or 2018? I think. I can't remember.
I'm pretty. Oh no, so it was 2017. It was Mimi's, and then it was Hobby Action. And then it was,
I didn't even remember where it was.
I don't remember what the track was called this year. It had two different names. It used to be Sparks RC Raceway, but the Facebook was Ian Hobbies or something.
Are we ever going to see a nationals outdoor again? Do you think so?
I don't want to say never. I think we're too far.
Yeah.
Like, the companies have spent too much money. And now, I mean, Roar might do any, Roar is kind of a loose cannon. You don't know what they're going to choose or have reasoning. But just say maybe in general, not even necessarily Nats, like outdoor 10 scale races are kind of dead because the cars have just gotten away from that. I think if you did, it would be like the old Cactus used to be, outside sugared,
right,
where it was super high bite. Because the laydown cars would work awesome on that surface. The problem is there's really not very many of those tracks left because they're not very convenient, I guess, to club race on.
Yes.
I know there's two tracks in California, Hot Rod, and I think there's like a Roadrunners RC, and they have pretty good club racing, but those are the only two outdoor tracks that I can really think of, on my half of the country that sees consistent racing that laydown cars were really designed to work on. One of my favorite races that I used to go to every fall was the Tumbleweed Classic in New Mexico, and it was at Arcor, and it was a sugar race just like Cactus.
Okay.
And I loved it. Like, I wouldn't want a club race on that because the tires you go through so many tires.
Right.
But man, it was fun. I really enjoyed racing 10 scale outside. And you had good, consistent grip. Every time you put the car down, it was the same, which I think is important for big races. Like low grip, high grip, medium grip, dusty, whatever the case may be. That's all fine. It doesn't matter. We're all on the same track. But as long as it's the same from round to round, I think that's the thing that I like the most when I go to a race. When the track's going all over the place and you have no idea what tire to put on or what compound or how much tread, like that's when it gets frustrating. When the track is at least consistent and you can work on your stuff and get it better, and every time you go out you can feel at least like you're making progress, whether you're doing well or not, that's when the races are more enjoyable. So I think that's why I always like the sugar. I wouldn't want a club race on it, that's for sure. But
Arcor, I think they're closed. No.
I think they're going to be open for one more year. I think I saw.
Okay,
that's good. The city's not moving them. They're going to, I guess they're relocating. This because it's on city-owned property, but I think I saw something because I'm in one of the groups from back when they used to do when Tumbleweed used to be bigger.
Okay.
And I want to say that they're going to have one more year at that location.
Okay.
Could be wrong though.
Yeah, our Team Mexico guys were talking about it when we stopped in Albuquerque a couple months ago. So, all right. Well, being as we're talking about the nationals, why do you think these same tracks keep getting the nationals? And it's not just the nationals, because it's kind of Euro things too. Euro as well. I mean, the eight scale Euros has been. It was at Hungaroring. It was at Hungaroring in 2015. It's going to Rendezvous next year, which I have no issue with, because I think Rendezvous is a great track. But why aren't different tracks getting these races? And you actually brought up a really good point about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know all the inside details about holding the Royal Nats and exactly what the agreement is. But I do know from just talking with track owners and just hearing things is that the track itself gets a very, very, very small portion of the entry fee. And then basically Roar is renting the building. So Roar has all the say at the event. And with the tracks getting such a low entry fee, most of these tracks make less money at like a nationals than they would if they just had regular club racing. So there's not a whole lot of incentive for tracks other than to hold the nationals. And so
the prestige, that's all they want. That's all they get. They don't get no real benefit.
Yeah. And obviously, I think if you're a track owner and you put a lot of effort in and you got a really good hobby shop and you have a bunch of the stuff that we walk in and we don't need it, especially we don't need it and try and pack into our suitcases that are already too heavy from flying there. But like every time I go to a race, I end up walking to a hobby shop and buying stuff I don't need if they have a good hobby shop. And so you might be able to recoup some money there, but I just don't think there's very many tracks that really put in for the nationals anymore. I know a couple years ago, my local track put in for nationals, and I want to say he said that there was only 3 bids or something crazy.
I think there was only
nationals.
I think there was only 2 for the 8 scale nationals next year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's really sad, and not saying anything about the tracks where we're going to this year. The bummer part about the 10 scale one is that the guys were just there.
Yeah.
Nothing against the facility, or I heard it was a good nationals, and I believe the lady's name is Mimi. I heard
and they've made it bigger as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it sucks to go back to the same place. I think Aurora Nationals, and I think it should be the biggest race of the year, and it's very rarely is. You know, we've got some absolutely amazing facilities in the U.S. Beach RC, OCRC, SDRC, facilities that are totally premier tracks that could hold this event, and none of them ever put in. There's a reason why.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
Yeah, it is, man. Maybe we have to go to the route of, if it's going to be indoor, just have a purpose-made track, but then, you know, that Raw ain't going to do that, because that cuts into their money, because let's be realistic, that this is where they make their money off these races every year. So, well, that goes to a whole different spiel about Raw period. But
that's a slippery slope.
It's not for me, because I'm not a member. I mean, I look at EFRA, and they're not perfect, but I think they're probably the most forward-thinking governing body that is out there at the moment. So I think these other governing bodies should look at what they're doing and try to emulate them. But then again, the whole racing scene in Europe is completely different anyway. So I don't know. I think we as racers should demand more from the governing bodies. But at the same time, we have to understand that these guys there are people trying to change things, but this is run by all volunteer group of people who do want to do it because they love it and they want to see things change. But I don't know, man. I just feel Raw should be worth more. Yes, it's good you win the Raw Nationals and stuff, but I would like to see proper regionals, qualifying, all that stuff. All stuff I've said on the podcast before. You know, treat the regions like the Europeans treat the countries. You qualify to get into the Euros, basically, pretty much. So good stuff. All right. Well, being as we're talking about another big move, kind of backtracking, but another thing that caught my eye was when you left Associated to move to TLR. Was that one of the hardest decisions in your RC career to do?
Without a doubt, it was the toughest decision. Yeah. Like I said earlier, when I got into racing, Larry and Cody kind of made it possible. They helped me a ton, and Larry helped me a ton. And all I ever wanted was to run for Associated. And actually, the regional team manager for Associated is from New Mexico. And I actually went down at Tumbleweed Classic the very first time to kind of go run in front of him. I wanted him to be able to put a name to a face, and then I did really well that weekend. I was actually going to win 17.5, but apparently when you're new at racing and you think you know everything, but you don't want to listen to the driver's meeting. And I had no idea that it was a 10-minute main. And so we're racing in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's September, and it's like 92 degrees or something crazy outside. And my car made it 8 minutes and 15 seconds or something into a 10-minute main, and I was gone. Like, there was no one going to catch me. But it thermaled, and I'm like, man, why is this race so long? And then after I got off the driver's stand, I realized it was 10 minutes. And never even, my fault, never even paid attention. I might not have even went to the driver's meeting. Completely my fault. And then I ran mod, and I think I made the podium, or I was fourth or something. And so that's when I got onto Associated, and I raced for them for a couple of years. And you go to these races and you meet people, and you maybe become friends with guys who don't necessarily run the same equipment as you. Right. And so I got to know Frank pretty well, and we would just text and whatever, and we go to races, and TLR usually tries to send somebody, even when Dustin ran for TLR, he used to always, Frank would come out, or Todd Hodge would come out to our big race every February, the Rumble on the Rockies. And it was a couple of years ago, we were talking, and Todd was like, hey, if you ever want to run for us, you know how to get a hold of me. Right. Right. And I was like, haha, yeah, whatever. And so the rest of the year goes by, and I end up seeing Todd at the next year's Reedy race. And he's like, dude, you never reached out to me. And I was like, oh, he was serious. And I never planned on leaving Associated. But then you kind of run all year, and that was the year we went to the Worlds. And it was always kind of in the back of my mind, and I was getting better and better friends with Frank. And then right before the Worlds, I brought it up to Frank, and I was like, Todd said if I ever wanted to run for you guys. And he's like, yeah. And one thing led to another, and Kevin got involved, and then, yeah, I remember flying home from the Worlds because they kind of needed a decision. Mm-hmm. It was at the end of November. And I ended up hanging out with them a lot at the Worlds, going to dinner and that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. I didn't have any reason and nothing bad to say about Associated. Right. And yeah, it was just one of those things that it was and I'm not saying this as I didn't like the people at Associated, but my move to TLR was more about the people and the relationships that I had with Frank and Todd and Kevin. And I'm super happy that I made the decision. It's been awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Do you, did you get to race much 8 scale with the 8X this year? I did like 3 or 4 races, and all the races that I did were all like 3-4 day races. And so I did Border Wars. I did 2 or 3 of our series races. Yeah, it was, the car's pretty good. I mean, I haven't ran 8 scale since the original B3 right buggy. And so I was a couple years. And so, take this with a grain of salt, but I definitely think like the non-pillow ball cars, I think suit me better. Okay. I think I always thought the pillow ball car a little bit more. The first one, it's obviously a good car. Spencer's killed with they've won all kinds of races. I'm not saying it's a bad car at all, but I think the TLR car was fun this year. Yeah, to kind of just get back and learn a new platform. And that was the thing, like, it was a new platform for everybody. So it's
Right.
not like I walked into a situation where I'm like, put this dude's setup on, copy it to the T, and go win races. You know, it was a situation where the whole team all year long has really been working to kind of figure out exactly what the car likes. And I mean, Dakota's been super fast, I think, at every race he's been to.
I know.
Hasn't had the greatest luck.
And it cost me money. He fends himself. I bet on him like 3 times this year, and he cost me money each time. Got to get him on this podcast and tell. He's so talented, man. So talented.
Dude, he's got more talent in his pinky finger than I have in my whole entire body. The stuff that I've watched him do with the car is just nuts. Yeah. He has the ability. I remember we were at INS 2 years ago, and I want to say he TP'd around a 4-wheel, and Frank looks at me and he goes, "There's only one dude in the world that could put that 6 minutes in." Like, it was perfect. Like, that's what Dakota's insane. And honestly, since I've been on TLR, I've gotten to know Dakota pretty well. And even, you know, some of the super, super fast guys, they know their program. They kind of just keep to themselves. Dakota takes input from, or if you ask him a question or you give him feedback on something, he actually is interested in what you're saying. And so, I have a lot of respect for Dakota.
You know who I say this, TLR's best 8-skill driver is Renault Savoia. He's done really, like, we like kind of counted him out. Like, he left Mugen, went, actually, he kind of was lost for a while. He started getting better results with HB, then that fell through. But he's reinvented himself with TLR. Yes, he may not win these races or whatnot, but he's always usually in the main. And I did a great interview. It was a good chat with him. So I think he's really good.
Reno's awesome. I've only got to race with him at a race one weekend. That was my first race when he was over here in the States. It's the only time that I went to a race that, you know, he came in for. He's an awesome dude. And actually that podcast that he was on, that's actually the one that was the first podcast of yours that I had listened to.
Oh, good.
And I'll admit, I scrolled, like, I didn't really care what the podcast was about. I just totally went to the Reno part. But that's how you kind of like.
That's all right.
You know, dude. I listen to podcasts at work, and it helps me go through the day and that kind of stuff. Or I'll listen to them when I'm wrenching, that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of how I found the podcast. And
no one wants to listen to me and Joseph ramble on for hours. I get it, you know. So it's no big deal. But thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. Gil Losi joined TLR. What do you think that? What do you think that brings back to the company? What do you expect from Gil? I gotta get him on this. He said he'll come on the podcast too. I just have been lazy. I haven't got him any questions yet.
I think that gives Frank Gil's probably more on the 10 scale side, I would assume. And I know if Frank's testing, he's there quite a bit with Frank. I think it gives Frank another person that has been there and done that understands what it takes to build a car.
Makes sense.
And the things that are feasible and not feasible from that end. Because, like, anybody can go test something and say, these 14 changes and I cut 2 inches off the chassis and all this stuff works. But some of it's not always feasible into the next production car or the cost of that kind of stuff. And so having Gil, who's been there and done that, helping Frank, I think it's going to be
I've watched him at races.
Huge thing.
He is just watching. He watches the track. He watches everything that's going on. And you can see in his mind, his gears are grinding, like, moving. And I wonder what he's thinking. So it's going to be interesting to see what he brings. Another person that has impressed me is Anthony Westergaard. He's greatly improved with he had a really good RCGP. And I watched him, like, when I first went out to California. He's running HB, and he's improved a lot. But he's been putting in a lot of work as well, too. He's at the track a lot. And
Anthony is living at the track. I feel like he is putting in so much effort. I don't know him very well. We talk every once in a while, and it'll pop up in the group chat when we're talking about 8-scale stuff. And I've messaged him a couple of things, just trying to get dialed in because I know he's doing it way more than I am. And yeah, he's getting super fast.
Is he?
He's putting in a ton of work.
Yeah, he's beating Joseph now, so Joseph's like, I gotta beat Anthony. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna happen, dude. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
The dude built some awesome tracks too.
I know. Sure. Good peoples, man. Anthony, him, his wife, and his son. His son's so full of energy. Wow. I told him the other day, you need to give your son a Red Bull, man. He's like, what? Good people. All right, let's talk about the Colorado RC scene. I have talked to a few guys from there. I know our guys from New Mexico go up and race the border war races. Let's talk about that. How is the RC scene in Colorado?
I think for the most part, it's pretty good. I think our 8-scale crew is ideally what you want out of an RC group of guys. It's I don't want to say it's a party at the track, but the majority of our 8-scale guys are there to enjoy themselves first.
Mm-hmm.
And even the big races, everyone's cooking and it's just a good time and it's a fun weekend. And I think that's what we need more of just in general. And Graham, he runs the LRC up in Longmont, Colorado, which is probably an hour north of Denver-ish. It's like almost 3 hours one way from my house. And that's the track that I choose to support because the dude works his butt off.
I met those guys at Silver State with the Jägermeister machine. And they forced me. To drink. How dare those guys force me to drink Jägermeister?
Right.
I would never do that. Of course, that was fun. They're like, come have a shot. So yeah, sure. I'm not going to say no. Great bunch of guys. They were smart. They pitted outside.
I don't I don't drink at all. I never have. But did they have the fuel gun?
No fuel gun, just the machine.
Oh yeah, so they've got a fuel gun that they only use for fireball.
Okay.
And that's how they do fireball shots with the fuel gun.
I don't do fireball. It's bad stuff. Bad stuff that is.
But no, it's the group is really good, and the 8-scale scene is good, and then more RC is probably an hour closer, about an hour and a half from where I live. And we have a pretty good core group of guys that run there. It's been a little bit slower lately, but I think it's a combination of things. It's always slower in the summer in Colorado, and then
everybody's outside.
You have
doing everything,
and there's such
else.
a short window to enjoy outside in Colorado.
A lot of things to do, dude. In the summertime.
Yeah, dude. There's every one of the guys that I know that races in Colorado. They all mountain bike or hike or climb or like in the summertime. They just want to be outside, and when they do race RC, they're wanting to race outside too. And so it gets a little slow in the summertime. It starts to pick up about this time of year, and the track's been around for I think 32 or 33 years. I want to say it's the oldest. Yeah, it's the oldest track in the country, still owned by the same owners.
Wow, that's impressive.
There's one, from what I understand, there's one track that's older, but the ownership has changed hands or the location has changed hands.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been around forever. The Brockman family's owned it forever, and they've done a lot for racing in Colorado. And we've got some super fast guys like Cody Newmandahl came from that place. Dustin Evans has come from that place. Matt Chambers has came from that place. Robinette back in the day came from that place. Like they've produced some seriously, and I'm talking like top level talent out of that place. So, and it's crazy because the track's super small, and I don't say that in a negative way. Like I don't want that to come across the wrong way, but it's like our track's small. It's the smallest track I've ever been to.
Right.
If you've ever been to OCRC, our track is just a little bit bigger than their practice track.
Really? Wow, that's small.
Yeah, it's I want to say the track is something like 85 by 32, something like that.
Wow.
And so in mod two-wheel drive, a fast lap on a faster layout. It's like 10 seconds.
That's
And
crazy.
so,
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, I always laugh because, you know, you and Joseph have talked about it in the past about how we should just go to Heads Up Racing all the time. And I think that it's not so much that people enjoy the Heads Up Racing. I think that they enjoy the something new, right? Because at home, our track's so small, you can't start 8 two-wheels in 10 seconds. Like, you can't do IFMAR qualifying. It's not possible.
Right.
So we only race Heads Up at more.
That
Like,
makes
all
so
the
much
qualifying
sense.
round-
Like, yeah, I never even thought of that. Jesus.
So when I go out of town, when I go 8-star racing, I am looking forward to being on my own clock.
Yeah, it's
For
completely
IFMAR
different for
qualifying.
you. It's new. It's like a treat.
I think that it's not that one is better than the other, right? I think IFMAR is probably more fair for like a big race. Like if you just want to talk about the most fair way to qualify, IFMAR is probably more fair. But I think it's just changing it up. Doing something different is what makes Heads Up fun for people. Like, you know, the gate start stuff, whether you like the gate starts or you don't like the gate starts, I would say the majority of the people that really like the gate starts because it's something different.
Right.
Like, that's where the enjoyment came out of it.
Well, it's different because a lot of people probably didn't do it back in the day. We still, back in Bermuda, we still do it. Well, man, I was home racing. We used to do it all the time. And I know what they were trying to do, motocross style whole shot, and I thought it was great. And usually the people that didn't like it were the ones who got the shit end of the stick on the start. But it's a long.
I will say personally, I always call them luck sections. I'm not a big fan of luck sections.
Right, I agree.
Like when there's like a whoop section, like you're not on it on the car like you would be on a dirt bike, right? If I hit this section 10 times in a row exactly the same way, I want the same outcome, whether that's 10 crashes or 10 dialed lines. I'm not a big fan of the luck section, so
I
without
understand
doing it. So we used to have a track in Denver that used to have a gate start. They actually it was built out of metal, and it was all like, I don't know how they were activated, but they were controlled by RC Scoring Pro gates. And so for qualifying, all 10 cars would be on the gate start, and for qualifying, because we still did IFMAR, it would drop the cars 3 seconds apart from each other.
Okay.
In order, and then I want to say in the main, you lined up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think or you may have got your choice of gate. I can't remember, but I want to say it dropped 3 cars at a time. So you didn't have the giant cluster going in the first corner, but you had the first 3 guys go, the next 3 guys go, and then the last 3. You know what I mean? They were kind of a little bit spread out, but they were only 1 second apart. It just let you get that three definitive lines. And so I like the way that was done, but it's probably been 10 years since we got to race at that place. I think it's a train station or something is there now.
How many tracks are there in Colorado that race, roughly?
We've got more RC, which is 10 scale, and then we've got LRC, which is 8 scale. We have another really nice 8 scale track, but it's on the other side of the mountains, and it's in Rifle, Colorado. It's like a little clubbed.
Yes, that's where I think
track.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what track you're talking about.
They've built one heck of a cool little facility, just on club donations and race fees and that kind of stuff, and they work their butts off. Then there's one track here in Colorado Springs, but it's not really a track. It's actually out east of town in somebody's backyard in their riding arena. Like, they have a really nice riding arena, and they built a driver stand. And so like they do 1 or 2 races a year out there. And like Joey did the layout 2 years ago. So like it was a super dialed track to go out and run on. I wasn't racing 8 scale at the time. But that one's the closest track to me, and that one's probably 30 minutes away.
That's the one. Does it not have like pipe or something like that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. There is one more track, I guess. I don't think about it all the time because Fort Collins is quite a drive for me. But there is one more. I want to say it's in Fort Collins, E-Team Hobbyplex.
That's it.
And they have tons of room. And from what I understand, I've never been up there, so I could be wrong, but I want to say that on average, there's like a 4 or 5 foot dead space between each lane, and the track is kind of dug down. And so apparently the lanes are pretty easy to tell where you're at.
Okay, I get that.
I don't. Yeah, in watching videos, it doesn't look like it's been like it doesn't. It's like watching on road. Like I can't watch my touring car. It's just too fast. When I watch a video on some dude's cell phone of an 8-scale car at that track, I'm like, I don't really see where the track is. But I couldn't attend that race from the series. But from what I understand, there really wasn't any issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good stuff. So it's fairly healthy there. It looks like it. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
And then of course, like the Border Wars race is good, so you could go down to New Mexico, and I guess
I'm going to try and do more of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and do more of that next year.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, last year with 8-scale, I pretty much only did the local stuff because I was still going out of town doing the 10-scale stuff. And then, nationals is always a pretty expensive weekend. So I have to kind of think ahead. And I got in some trouble in the past with that, going to these toy car silly races, chasing a silly dream or whatever. But now, if I don't have the money to go, I just don't go.
Yeah.
And so I plan ahead. Like I'm already working on my calendar for next year to where I'm trying to, instead of maybe doing more of the expensive races, I'd like to support more of the series races or honestly, I think one of the most dialed tracks in the country is in Omaha, Nebraska.
Hobbyplex?
The Hobbyplex?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. We go race 10 scale up there, and then some of the, like Mason Fuller and Tom
Rennick.
I'm just going to say Tom. Yeah, he knows. He's a buddy of mine. We all kind of meet up, and like it's super fun to go do something different. That's the only, I guess, downside of more is that it's small. It's fun. It's like a 7-hour drive, and so they have a really condensed program to where we can leave Friday morning, drive up there. If you practice Friday night, you get like 4 or 5 hours on the track, but then you can't practice Saturday morning, so that the guys that are traveling in first thing Saturday have less people to fight with. And then we have a condensed program on Saturday and get it all done, and then we drive home on Sunday. So I only miss 1 day of work, and it's one of my more favorite places to go to. So I'm thinking I'm going to try and do the whole series next year. I probably shouldn't have said that. There's a few guys that already hit me up like, you coming, and I can feel the Facebook messages right now as I say that. But
I know about that track really a good bit because a bunch of our drivers go there. Ashton goes there, and I've not met, but I've talked to the Fuller's father, good guy.
Yeah.
So they have a really good race scene there in Omaha and at Hobbyplex. It's good stuff. Ashton does pretty good there in 8-scale.
There's a lot of, it's very easy to get negative towards tracks and blah, 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 blah in this hobby. But I will tell you one thing. I have never been to the Hobbyplex and been disappointed. Alex runs such a good program. The tracks are always dialed. Like, Alex up there does an awesome job with that place. Like, if you're considering going to that, like, for, like, one of the series races and you're in the Midwest, like, he does a good job up there.
Yeah, I've heard lots of positive things about that track. So it's good stuff, man. Well, let's talk about this. That's one of the topics is what is your opinion on our hobby/sport industry that is RC surface, what we do, off-road racing? What is your opinion on that right now?
It's very easy to say that it's doom and gloom, right? Like, you see a lot of times on Facebook that tracks are struggling, this and that. But look at the races that people are traveling to. Look at the money that people are still choosing to spend, right? I mean, you get Nitro Challenge with 700-800 entries and Roar Nats. Even though the majority of people there, all they do is complain on weekend, it still sells out.
Yeah.
Like, people are spending a ton of money in RC. And so I don't think it's really as bad as people say it is. If you really look at a lot of the, in my opinion, if you look at those posts of a track closing down, a lot of times it's not so much my racers have abandoned us and they're not spending money here. It's, hey, our rent went up, or hey, we're losing our lease, or we've done it for 20 years and we're just kind of done. Just want to retire. Like, I think it's very easy to jump on the bandwagon of, oh man, we're killing everything. And don't get me wrong, there's a good portion of that that's happening, but it's not as bad as we're making it out to be, I think. I do think that there's too many sponsored guys, but not for the reason that you probably would think. I know that's a topic that gets brought up every once in a while. And I see a lot of guys who shouldn't be sponsored by anybody get sponsored. And don't get me wrong, it's super hard but for the companies. Like,
Yes.
They don't know whether the dude's been racing for 3 weeks or 3 years. Like, the resume says one thing, that's what they have to go off of. Like, it's not an easy job. It's no one's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But the point I'm trying to make is I won't name the company, but 2 years ago, there was like 4 or 5 guys who all got sponsored, and talking 10 scale. And I think only one of them is still racing. 2 of them are still racing. So out of the 5, 3 of them quit. Because when they got sponsored, and in their words, it wasn't fun anymore. Because when, for like 8 scale, a lot of times the class you have to run is based on your sponsorship level. Whether that's the right way to do it or not, that's how it is.
Right. I get that you mean. I think it's stupid, but anyway.
You got a guy running Sportsman who is a sportsman who gets sponsored by company X, right? And then he has to step up to expert, and then he just is in the way or is really struggling, and then he no longer has fun and he quits. And that's not good.
No.
Like, every time we do that, like, we took somebody who was hardcore enough and was into it enough that wanted to be sponsored and all those things. And I don't blame people for wanting to be sponsored. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
When I started, I was like, yeah, anybody, because we just want to fit in. I think we want to be a part of the group, right?
Yes.
We look up to the super fast guys, and I just wanted to be a part of it. Like, I remember sending a resumes to Associated, and now looking back on it, I'm like, man, Brant Scott must have laughed at me because I hadn't done anything.
Right.
Like, the fact that I got an email back that said no was like, that's an accomplishment, because I wouldn't have even replied. But it's one of those things that, like, every time we sponsor somebody too early and they quit, that to me, that's worst case scenario.
Yeah. You bring up a really good point about the whole moving from sportsman to expert, because I am a strong believer until you're with, like, I remember, first of all, being sponsored does not determine your skill level. Okay. We all know that.
No.
I think it's a really crappy way. I get why people do it. I don't agree with it, but I understand why. Because they're trying to draw some line. But I think if you're a sportsman driver, you should stay on sportsman, and you shouldn't have to move anywhere unless you're out there sandbagging, obviously. But
yeah, but who's to say if someone's sandbagging?
I know
that's the slippery slope. Like, that's the slippery slope. Like, we don't have anything black and white.
Exactly. We don't have a definitive line in RC, period.
Yeah, and so that's why the only definitive line is that, okay, if you're sponsored, you gotta move up. Like, that's the only thing that we have that really works. And whether it's right or wrong, it just is how it is. I mean, like, I'm very realistic about my speed and how fast I am or I'm not, right? When I got sponsored, I immediately stopped running stock, and I ran mod. And I'm not a slow driver. I can go to the regional size races and make the podiums, that kind of stuff. I've never made a buggy main at nationals. The closest I've ever come to anything like that is wasn't BQ, but I missed the bump spot by 1 spot at the Desert Classic 2 years ago to mod 2-wheel. I'm not slow. I'm just not fast. You know what I mean? Fast on that level when all the pro guys are there. And I'll be honest with you, as someone who's been in here for 6 years and I help a lot of people through Facebook or at the track, and they're they're being super successful in stock or whatever. To me, I'm like, man, I wish I would have stayed in stock longer so I could have had a chance to race for the win at some point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, it is tough going and running having an awesome weekend and being like, whew, 13th, that's pretty good. Like, you didn't actually get to race for anything. And so I think in 10 scale, I think whether you think stock should be a class or should just be open, that's another whole argument. But like, I really don't like people that get shamed for winning in stock when they're sponsored. Stock is not a skill level; it is a motor turn limit. You know what I mean? And so, because you see a lot of these young kids, we've got one here in Denver. His name's Jordan. He's in high school and super fast kid. And at big races, he runs stock because he's realistic about his speed and he's super fast in stock. But every race we go to, someone gives him crap. And usually it's someone who finished fifth, right? Fifth or sixth, or maybe just missed the main. And they're not really mad that Jordan ran. They're mad that, man, if Jordan wouldn't have ran, that would have been my spot into the main.
I don't even think,
and that's not really the right way to look at it.
I get that, but I don't even think stock is a skill level. What's the word I'm looking for? Okay. Stock is another class. It's not a cheap way to get into RC anymore. I guarantee you that a guy running a stock car could probably, I don't know. I'm not a 10 scale guy, but I'll ask this question. A guy with a fast stock car, do you think he'll be as competitive with maybe a guy of equal skill level in mod on the same track?
As far as like where they're running for like lap time, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, do you think if a mod,
I think without a doubt.
Yeah. So
I think we have the proof in Drayton.
Yeah.
Drayton won everything in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Went to mod for Associated, killed it for like half the year, and then even did good at the 8 scale ENATs or whatever. One thing led to another, and he switched companies. I guess it didn't work out, and now he's back to running stock, and he's immediately destroying everybody.
Yeah, but he
was in the he was in the main in mod.
Yeah,
and he's destroying and dude, if he wants to run stock, good for him. He deserved it.
Do you think he could run that same car in mod?
Drayton could.
Yeah, he's talented, dude. He's super talented.
Oh yeah, they're those guys. Yes. The guys that are super fast in stock, that have the motor game down. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, I personally enjoy the hobbying side,
right? The tinkering side,
the tuning of the motors and the gearing, all that stuff. I enjoy a lot of that when it comes to stock, because in modified, setups, yes, but you can't really have a car that's better than the guy next to you. Right, I get that. Because you all have unlimited power. You all have, it's not back in the day when you needed more power. Like with the brushless stuff now, everyone's car is way too fast as it is. Yeah, exactly. But in stock, you can put the time in off the track and find lap time because you put more effort in than somebody else. Now, you're probably still going to get outdriven. Like if you go up against somebody like Drayton, you're still probably going to get outdriven. But I do enjoy that, the side of it, or I always have. But yeah, I think it's a slippery slope when you try and start putting people into classes based on sponsorship level. Now, let me also say this. I have absolutely no issue. So we at home, we call it just stock and then expert stock. Which we don't need that many classes, but if you have a class that no sponsored guys are allowed in, I think that's also good. Like I know the J Concept series, they do like an independent buggy or something like that, and you can't be sponsored in any way whatsoever. I think that's good too. Like as much as I think we have too many classes sometimes, I think having a class for the guys who are really truly just weekend warriors, race 2 times a week or 2 times a month or whatever. Like I think it is good to have that type of class. But to force people to move up, it's tough.
I just think like you can't expect stock. Like we had this question on this podcast. It's like, what do we expect? Like you can't, stock racing isn't for a new person to get into it. I don't think we need to have a like in 10 scale, a spec 2-wheel drive class. Like I really thought that whole club racer thing that AE done was going to take off. You know, I think we need that. What do you think? How do you feel about that? Something like that.
You know, I don't know if that would ever work, because what's the first thing you do when you buy an RC car, even when you're new?
Put a faster motor in
you
it?
go you go search and try and find all the hop-ups.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have a spec, like it takes some of the fun out of it. I think what you do is, I think the motors are all too fast now. I think that you see tracks across the country are doing that 21.5 class, and you know, you can't be sponsored in it, and it's the more entry way to go in. And they have like a lot of those races have like a control motor. You show up to the event and you have a fixed timing motor that you can't change, that everyone runs the same brand. You all have to run the same gearing. Like, I think that's the only way you can do it. I at least here in Colorado, I've never seen a spec class work.
Well, that's almost like a spec class. Same motor, same gearing, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, if you did like a spec class for 17.5 and you want to start limiting to like box stock cars, right? Or that kind of stuff, like people like to tinker.
Yeah.
Like if you look, some of the guys who have the most fun at your local track are also the guys with the most expensive car, because they go on A-Main Hobbies or Live RC and they order every part that says it has a B6 or a 5.0 or an X. Like if it comes out, they're buying it because they want it. Period. Like they enjoy it.
Right.
And
I get that. I get the hobby side of it. I get it. I totally get that. I just tease him, because Brent, he loves stock, and I'm like, man, you and your pink pinion gears. I guess for me, like my first real 10 scale exposure was over in the UK, and we ran on turf, and you just dropped your car down and ran whatever you had, you ran. And all right, well, here's another question. What's your opinion on I'm a big fan of turf and carpet. I guess because I'm not really a hardcore 10 scale guy, I kind of just want to, if I come to 10 scale, I just want to set it and forget it. And I know you don't do that on carpet or turf either, but what do you think about carpet, turf versus clay right now? Do you see it's carpet tracks popping up everywhere in America now? Something I never thought would have happened. Look at Beachline this past weekend.
yeah,
Badass track.
Yeah, it's insane. And there's a lot of reasons to go turf and carpet for a track owner. The facility looks better, in my opinion. It stays cleaner. It's easier to change the layout. You have less expenses when it comes to that kind of stuff. You don't have to rent a Bobcat or pay, somebody to come do a track. There's a lot of reasons to do it. And I think that for your average new racer, carpet's better, because any car will work. You take any car on the market and you put carpet tires on it, and it will go around the track, right? You buy any car on the market, or you buy like a used car, and you go to your dirt track, there's no guarantee that it's really going to have enough grip to go around, depending on where you're racing. So you look at carpet, it works with slicks, it works with carpet tires. Like, I think for your average new racer and your week-to-week consistency, I think there's a huge plus there. The negative is when you get serious. If I was going to a carpet race, if I was going to be on the track 12 times, you'd have 12 full sets of tires, because the fastest run on that set of tires is the first time you put it down. And that is not good. Like, that's the problem. And so you look at like a series like EOS, I know they implemented the rules that you get like 3 sets maximum for practice and qualifying. And if you make the main, like the AAA, you get another set. And so like at the EOS series, you have to play the games of, do I use all 3 of my good sets for like qualify? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's the tire game. At some point, everyone's going out on used tires, and some points everyone's going out on fresh tires.
I get that.
Like, I like that. But you go to some of these races, and I mean, look at the pictures of the pits. I mean, what's worse? buying a set of tires, sanding all the tread off, burning in some sauce, and getting 6 or 7 runs out of them before they get too soft. Yes, which is not a good look for the hobby either. However, some would say buying 12 sets of carpet tires to go as fast as possible, right? Like if you're just an average club racer, you're not going to do that because you can get 2 or 3 runs on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you, the top level guys in the world, they had new rears on every run, without a doubt.
Do you feel that when guys just race carpet, like starting out, like I like to say, I think Truggy and E-Buggy build, not that I have anything wrong against Truggy and E-Buggy, but I feel they build a false sense of speed when it comes to running Nitro Buggy. Like I know many guys are really good at Truggy, really good at E-Buggy, but they're nowhere near as good in Nitro Buggy, which to me is the premier class. Do you think it's similar with with carpet? So I'm super fast on carpet because you have the traction. But when you get to maybe like a clay track or something that isn't, they struggle and they end up just racing carpet only.
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
There's always people like the Champlins who mainly race on carpet all the time and are super fast with any car, any surface. But yeah, I think that your average carpet racer, if they have a good carpet track that has, because the older the carpet gets too, the less grip it has, from what I understand. I never got to run on a carpet track that had been, ran on for a year or two and had lost some of its grip. But you have a really nice carpet track, like, Beach Line or even that Thunder Road from a couple weeks ago. Like, I would guess that majority of those customers are not going to their local clay track too. And if they are, they definitely have more than one car.
Yeah.
Because your average guy is not changing everything that you would change
right.
between week to week. I think it's a different skill set. It's like saying our off-road guy is better than on-road.
Yeah.
Or our on-road. Like, it's still RC, but it's very different. And so, I think.
I don't care as long as it gets more people in our hobby, in our sport.
Yeah. And I think if I opened a track today, it would probably be carpet.
Yeah.
All the pluses and minuses aside. And for big events where people were really going to be serious and push, I think I would have a spec, maybe not even necessarily a spec tire, but I would do a maximum amount of sets. So where, you take 3 sets of wheels per car, and they can mount whatever tires they want on those wheels, but they only get 3 sets for the, for each car, something like that. I think for the big events to keep the cost down, that's what I would do. But if I were going to open a track, I think it would probably be carpet. And I say that as someone who has a turf track. More RC's outdoor track is now turf. And turf hasn't been my cup of tea. Like, I've won a couple club races or whatever on it, but, like, it's not.
I get what you're saying.
Running on clay or running 8 scale, it's the lowest on the totem pole of what I would rather do on a weekend.
Right. I get you. I understand.
It's still driving a toy car, so it's fun.
It's not a toy car, Zeke. It's not a toy. You can't call it toy cars no more because they might YouTube might cut down on the man. That's a steamroller going across my house. Okay, sorry. YouTube might. I was watching the other day. I posted on my Facebook, but basically, if you call them toy cars, they're saying it's like affiliated with children and all this type of stuff. So it might actually cut down on content providers in YouTube. Scale Motorsports. Got to call it Scale Motorsports.
But I get what you're saying, and I definitely, I think we get too serious, and we all do it. We're all guilty of it, and I think it's good to get serious, but at the end of the day, we got to remember why we're doing it. It's to have fun and
have fun.
The days that I hate the most in RC are the days that I go to the track and maybe I left the house in a bad mood, and then I don't have a good day at the track.
Right.
It's like, man, why did I do this? Like, why did I even go?
Yeah.
I knew that I knew my mood was going to make the day not good. And then, you you don't have fun when you're doing it. That's the biggest thing.
I get that.
Gotta enjoy it.
I get that. What would you change in RC right now if you could do anything? What would you change right now? You can snap your fingers. I'm sorry. That's a bad. Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't even catch it.
I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Probably something's gonna have to change, and probably with the sponsored guys going back, like I said, somehow we gotta keep the very, very new out of it, so that they get the good base of knowledge, so that because when I started racing, being sponsored, right,
meant something.
That you had enough knowledge to help people. If you're always the guy at the track asking, then you probably aren't ready. And I've seen some people get sponsored and have to move up or whatever, like we were talking about, and then quit. Like, that's not, we got to keep, this is a luxury hobby. None of us need to do it. None of us.
No.
And the last thing we need to do is alienate the people that have found it.
Yeah, and we do. And then we tell them that you need to have this big, expensive engine to be competitive and the best radio. And they think they have to spend all this money, and they don't. They can get by for their first year or so on used stuff. No, don't buy crap. Just buy good stuff and learn and mess that up. I always say we like to brag how much money we have in our cars or how much we spend. And I'm more like, hey, yes, this can be really expensive, but hey, I've raced on a budget, still on a budget. Well, I don't race at all, but we shouldn't be alienating anybody. I agree with you, man. I don't know.
The only thing I would tell anybody to spend money on, and it's not even necessarily a brand, but there is no replacement for lap times and tires. Tires are the only part of the track that touches the ground.
Yep.
Like, if you're going to spend money on anything, if you've got $500 in your pocket and you're thinking, what upgrade can I buy? Just buy $500 in entry fees and tires.
Yep.
And just go do laps. Like, that's, to me, that's the biggest thing is that's what will make you better faster.
What do you think the future has in store for RC?
Definitely more carpet and turf races. Like, I think that's just the way that it's going. You look at the industry, the cars are already kind of heading that way as far as the laydowns, and even when we run on dirt, it seems like, I can't remember the last time I went to a race that we didn't run slicks at some point. Even when we're on.
I think that's like the silliest thing, but I get why it's done. Why can't we just already get tires that are ready to roll? I don't get it in that part. Or they just have to be broken in.
They just don't make the grip.
Okay.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's the carcass. I don't know if it's how thick the rubber is after you sand it. I don't know if it's the actual grain that you get from the sandpaper or the Scotch-Brite and actually makes the tire rough. But if you look at most of the companies, right? J Concepts has a slick, Proline has a slick, AKA has a slick. But what do? We all glue up treads and we all sand them off. We've all tried the slicks. It just isn't the same.
Couldn't you rough up the slick or anything like that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but then a lot of times the slick itself is thicker, right? Like, because you haven't sanded it as much, then the actual rubber doesn't make the same. Because a lot of times when we're running slicks, if you can get the rubber thin and still have the foam be good, that's when you can go fast.
Okay.
Because you don't want a super blown out foam and tire, because then the car has no stability and it gives you the sense that your car has no grip, but it's really just the tire. Yeah, it sucks when you go to races and all you do all weekend long is hear drills. But
yeah, it's got to be a better way.
I use less tires at races that we go to slicks than I do when we run tread.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, because I mean, if you go to a race, and I will say that I still prefer like an OCRC type. I mean, they went to slicks last year, Surf City, so maybe that's not the greatest example.
Mm-hmm.
But like just a clay track, low pin. But the problem is you get the tire to the point where it's got the right height tread, and you only have maybe 2 or 3 runs when it's that good. So you have to make multiple sets to get them in that window.
Right. That makes sense.
You know, and so a lot of times when we run slicks, you use less tires. It just doesn't look that way because you're in the pits just sanding them off. I mean,
it's a conundrum, dude.
It takes, if you really think about it, though, what's the difference, right? If you bought a slick for $30,
still got to burn it down, yeah.
Well, say you know, people always complain like, I can't believe you just spent $30 on that tire just to sand the tread off. It's really no different other than the time it took.
Mm-hmm.
The tire's still going to cost $30, whether it has tread or not. It just is what it is. And I don't mind taking a little bit of time and sanding them off. I do that when we're at home. I make my own slicks because I have the drill and stuff mounted on the workbench. But like at nationals, we have a guy from the Midwest, Corey Richardson.
Yeah, I know Corey.
And Corey is awesome. All he did all weekend for the team was make slicks. And I walked over and I was like, "Hey, Corey," and he's like, "You need tires?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Just, I'll glue them. I'll do everything. Just tell me how you want, the foam." And like an hour later, he brings me over 2 sets of slicks. And I'm like, guys like that are awesome.
Yeah. I've talked to him on Facebook. He listens to the podcast a lot. Seems like a great guy. Great guy.
He's awesome.
Man, yeah, this has been very educational for me too, because I'm learning more about 10 scale. But you know what? When it comes, I was just thinking of tires. In 8 scale on road, you get a tire at a certain diameter and then you true it down to get better performance. So I guess it's really no difference. So I don't know. Maybe, I guess that's coming. That's probably what all the tire companies are working on. But then again, I don't know. I don't really have an issue with slicks. I'm not the biggest fan of running on them, as it's not my ideal tire to be on. But really, I don't think it's really that big of an issue. Right.
I just don't think it. When you have somebody brand new walking into the track,
exactly, it's intimidating.
And that's the only real negative. But I mean, let's face it. Look at everything in our pit. It's still going to be intimidating, no matter how far you try and dumb it down. You got somebody that's been doing it for 5 years. They're going to be 5 years more prepared.
Yeah.
And
so if you're into it, you'll learn.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you? What's your future plans, bud?
Same old, same old. I don't foresee any big changes as far as my package next year for the most part. And I think next year my plan is I'm going to do less big races, less of the big 5-6 day races, and try and support like the Border Wars more and our local Nitro series, and then the series that's up in Omaha. And
good stuff.
It sounds silly, but April Fool's Classic is a huge race here in the U.S. It's like 7 hours from here, and I've never been because it's wedged in between a couple of other races that I usually always go to. So I'm just going to switch up some of the races this year, and yeah,
good stuff. Race more 8 scale. Nitro is the glory. I want to see you, because I follow all the Border Wars. So
yeah, I spent way too much money on a trailer last year, so I better use it. We only used it a handful of times last year, so
get out there, man. Get out there and race some 8 scale. Appreciate it.
I
Anything?
really enjoy it.
Yeah. Anything to add before we sign off here?
No, I just want to thank all my sponsors that helped me, and honestly, like, I have so many friends and people who have helped me throughout the years that just allow me to be able to even race. I already mentioned Isaac glues all my tires. I got a buddy Alex who helps me with my wrenching, and another buddy Travis who helps me with a lot of stuff. And and I'd like to single out Daniel Adams for Proline.
Yeah,
because he's the reason that I'm still probably racing. He's, Proline and Daniel, they stepped up and really gave me like real support before anybody else did. And Daniel's been awesome, and he's like one of the hardest working dudes.
Oh, I know.
RC.
I watched him at RCGP. Talk to him a bit.
He's always there with the truck, and he's always working his butt off. Frank and Kevin from TLR, Spectrum, and Horizon Hobbies. I think those guys are truly friends, and so it's been awesome with TLR, and I'm looking forward to the 4 next year and letting everybody get their hands on it, because it's going to be it's awesome. You just see what Dakota did right out of the box. They only had a couple days on that car before Worlds.
Really?
Yeah, and then to go to a completely different surface, and it's been pretty impressive. And then Chad Brockman at More RC, he's done a lot for me and helped me a ton, and gives me a place to race. And if it wasn't for Chad, I mean, I don't know if I'd still be racing if we didn't have More. So and then Victor and Mike at RC Life, they've helped me quite a bit as far as like we've got a line of products for the 22.4, which obviously is not going to be our 4 anymore. But we really got the best out of that car while we had to still run it. And and then my other sponsors like Bradley Fine Line Designs, the best painter in the business, Hobby Wing, ProTech, Stick It One Graphics, and then Avid. So
good stuff, man. You truly are inspiration, man. And I think like you just, you've done things like you said, you can do whatever you want, just figure it out. And I think a lot of people can learn from that. When people are here complaining about what they can't do and why they can't do this or making excuses, I think you are a good shining example of what can be done when you put your mind to it, and you don't make excuses for yourself. That's how I look at it, man. So
I appreciate it. It's not always the easiest to hear that kind of stuff, because it's just my normal, man.
Yeah.
Just
what would you?
I don't see.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just I don't know any better, so this is just my normal.
I did forget to ask you one question though, and that was, what would you say to this young kid that's getting into RC? Well, give him some advice right now, who might be listening to this podcast.
Even on your worst day at the track, right? You gotta have fun. That's why we do it. And I've actually been helping a young man at the track. His name is Jay, and he got into racing a couple months ago. He's really picking it up. He's went from novice to stock, and he gets a little frustrated sometimes, and because he's like, man, well, I got 3rd last week and now I got 6th this week. But it's not always, when you're club racing, especially when you're new, you're not always racing the same people week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So to set your bar at 3rd place, that's not a realistic goal, because what if there's more talent the next week? I think have fun, and if every time you go to the track, even if you only go 1 second faster, right? If you go 1 second faster every time you go to the track over 6 minutes, eventually you'll put enough time and enough laps in that you'll be fast. It doesn't happen overnight. And I mean, I'm not there. I'm not as fast as I want to be. I can go be competitive and make the B mains when everyone in the country's there. I didn't this year. Totally sucked at nationals this year, but I still had fun, and that's the biggest thing. If you're not enjoying yourself, man, it's not worth it. It's really not.
If it ain't fun, it don't make sense, dude. That's how I look at it. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. I know Isaac's going to be super, super chuffed about this, and keep racing, man. Keep being an inspiration for people. And, it was some wise words from you this week, on this episode. So thank you.
No problem, dude. I appreciate you having me on.
All right.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on. Whoa. Things are about to get serious. It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
Yes, it's that time of the podcast for the JQ Racing Rant. This is the R-rated version of the rant. So if you do not like cursing and banter and jokes and shit talking, then thank you for listening to the podcast. Your podcast journey ends here. So this week, Joseph, we have to rant about this incident that happened in Idaho at this track this weekend. You've seen the video, right?
Yeah.
I saw the video. I didn't post it. Man. Okay. First off, I don't condone that. I don't condone somebody punching somebody like that 3 times without that guy being able to defend himself. I don't condone it. It shouldn't be happening at RC tracks. But that, to me, was just uncalled for and shouldn't happen. Yes, there have been fights at RC tracks. There have been fights at everything else. But that was a little bit, in my eyes, from what I saw, was very much different from 2 guys pushing each other and maybe getting a fight where some blows are thrown. That guy literally, it looks like, I don't know the full story. I wasn't there, just talking to people that were there. Looks like they had some on-track incidents. That guy, the guy who, I know who he is. I don't know him personally, but I know who he is. I don't know if we should name names or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll say his name later.
Why? What was his name?
His name was I don't know. Should we say his name or what? I mean, I guess.
Well, why not?
I guess
someone on camera.
Yeah, Mike LaRusso was his name.
Okay, Mike LaRusso. Don't sponsor Mike LaRusso.
Well,
there we go.
I did hear that his team, I'm not going to say the company that he drove for, but they have dismissed him. Believe
Serpent.
Yes, Serpent. So that's good on Serpent. They have dismissed him. I don't know if he's a team rep or whatever, but he's not with Serpent no more. They dropped him right away. So anyway, let's talk about this incident that happened. Neither of us were there, so we don't know what happened. But at the same time, I don't think whatever happened on the track deserved what happened to this gentleman, which I might add, I found out happened in front of his wife and his young kid, right in front of them. Now, I've seen a few people get knocked out before. I've almost been knocked out myself, I almost did it to myself once, but I've been hit and had one time a guy hit me in the head with a can of beans, like a big can of beans. It hit me right in the head with it.
Knocked out by a can of beans.
Well, this dude was big. Like he was like my size, but he's older. He's a lot older than me. And he was just, a man. I was like 19 and I was being smart. I was like, being smart. And I think like we guys got some words and I weren't even expecting it. And he hit me right on the side of my head. And I saw stars for a few seconds. And next thing he was throwing punches at me and I didn't really get hit. It was my fault. I was being smart, but he didn't have to go that far. But anyway, this dude hit this guy 3 times extremely hard. You look at the video, he looks like he got pissed off. They must have been getting into each other. I don't know who was in the lead. I don't know what was happening on track, but I guess they were getting into each other. Apparently, from what I heard, is like the guy, they had some words and they called each other, or the other guy called him a motherfucker or whatever. I don't know. That's what I was told. And that they went over there. The guy walked on the stand while they're racing, halfway into the race, and really hit this guy really hard 3 times. And the guy had no chance to defend himself whatsoever. That should not be happening in RC. Not in this day. And like, you know what? There's people defending him. I get it that this guy has friends that he races with. I understand that. Like, I defend, I get it. There's your friend. You want to defend him. They're like, we're friends with both guys. I said, yes, I get that. I get that. I understand that. But there's no defending that. Now, if that guy would have said, hey, you and me, let's go out in the parking lot and let's handle this like men. Okay, I can see that. Like, or if they were actually like, there's a difference between just hitting somebody to the knocked out and actually getting in a fight with somebody, where both people are throwing blows. That didn't happen, man. This dude was racing. He was paying attention. He probably didn't even see this guy come down there, and he clocked him 3 times really hard, man. So it doesn't look good for RC. And unfortunately, I heard this happen also at another track. I don't know the track's name. I just heard it happened the same weekend, just wasn't on video. And this guy hit a new racer that just came because he wouldn't move out of his way and knocked him out. I don't know if I heard he knocked him out. I don't know if it's true. I can't say because I haven't seen any video or anything about it, but I heard about it. So it happened. 2 incidents like this happened this weekend. I was told that the track in Idaho, which is actually Jeff goes to this track too, so he just moved out to Idaho. I was told that they have banned this guy from the track, and I might add, I just want to say this was a great event. They were putting on a race. They raised $600+ to go to Focus RC. Focus RC was the track that I was talking about last week that burnt down, and I have a brand new packy chip here. I might do a crowd fund for that to raise some money for that track, for that hobby shop track that burnt down. I want to talk to them. I want to talk to the guy who gave me the packy trip, see if it's all right with that. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do that when you come down here. We'll raise some money for him. So it was a great event. Justin Wowdy was the race director from Wowdy Events. He did the RCGP stuff. So it was a really great race with really great intentions. And it fulfilled his intentions. But this incident threw a dark cloud on this. And you know what I have to say about this, man? You cannot go around, in the real world, you cannot go around punching people out because of what they said to you. It doesn't happen like that. This, in my eyes, this could have ended up really bad. One, people, I remember, I've seen it. I used to be a bouncer. Like, people get hurt and they get hit hurt. You know where they get hurt is when they fall on the ground, and hit their heads on concrete or something. What if this dude would have fell off that driver's stand, snapped his neck or something like that,
Yeah, the problem is people die from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally happens. People get punched and then they fall and they die.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth doing when you are sober at an RC race. I mean, it's never worth doing, but you really have to be a special kind of stupid to do it when you're fully sober at an RC race.
It's a race. I listened to Ran Out of Talent with Joe and Ryan, and Joe's into MMA and all that type of stuff. And he brought up some good, he's talking about concussions, all that type of stuff. This just shouldn't be happening, man. This just shouldn't be happening. This is not how grown men operate. This is what I like. This is what they said that made sense. This is RC car racing. As much as I love to call this a sport and a hobby, it's not physical. We're not in these cars. If those cars crash, nothing happens to us. We know that. Now, in full-scale racing, if somebody makes you crash or crashes into you, you can die. I can understand being upset about that, and wanting to fight somebody like that, which has happened in lots of motor. People go, this happens in motorsports all the time. Yes, it does, but we're talking about people that have their lives on the line, not guys racing around on carpet somewhere. So this guy obviously has anger issues. He can't, there's no need for that, man. I'm sorry. I don't condone it. And in front of his wife and in front of his son. So this guy's extremely lucky that that the person that got punched was not hurt from what I heard, slightly concussed, but he's all right. I believe. That the police, I don't know if the police were called, I can't remember, but no charges were filed. He's so lucky. He could be in jail right now for just a brief, and this is how people end up in trouble. A brief moment of passion can lead to a lifetime of pain. And this guy now, he can't race at his track that he raced at anymore. He's obviously, everybody knows who he is, who he is. So he, people are upset in the RC community, and and this guy, maybe he's very passionate about RC and he loves this stuff, but now he's fucked it up for himself for being dumb.
Yeah.
And this is what I didn't like. People's like, we shouldn't share this and nobody should. No, you should share this. You should address this shit because we shouldn't have this shit happening in RC. Yes, it's happened in the past. I remember I saw in the comments, Courts punched a guy or something like that. I'm sure there's been fights all around, but this wasn't really like, to me, this was just an attack. Like,
I'm surprised that no charges were filed.
You know, it's different. If two guys get in a fight, a pushing match, and they start throwing blurs, and people break it up, and then, you know, they're hot for a minute, and then they're cool, that's different. But to just come up and lay into some, like I saw it, whop, one time, pop, pop, and two more times, that guy was, like, people's like, he wasn't out. That guy was out, man. He was out for a brief second. It shouldn't be happening, man. And we can't have this. We got children at these races, like right in front of his wife and his I don't know if it's his son or daughter, but right in front of his child at an RC race. No money involved. Money was all going to a good cause. So
yeah,
the guy who done it, Mike, he's very lucky that nothing happened to this other person, the person that he punched, and no charges were filed. And sorry, there's no defending what happened. Yes, I totally get that tempers flare, emotions flare. I get pissed off all the time. I don't go around and hit people. I get pissed off at you. I don't hit, well, I do hit you. But I mean, you know, but not like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's more like a joke, but this just can't happen, dude. It's not good for RC. And to act like it didn't happen and brush it under the carpet is even fucking worse.
Yeah.
So, how about you? Have you seen? I mean, I'm sure Dagani always talks about it. There's been fights. I remember Paul Coleman body slam Steve Dunn one time. Like, you know,
I've never seen something like that.
No, I haven't either.
It's never been it's never really been serious, the stuff I've seen.
Yeah, I've not even. I mean, I think Court said he knocked out a guy once, and he said it cost him 4 years of.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, I know one. So Court's friend at Hot Rod Hobbies got mad at Killer Cam. What's his name? Cameron Neff.
Oh yeah.
And choked him out. So I actually put him in a headlock and was choking him, and other people had to come and break it up.
Who had who in a headlock? I'm confused.
Court's friend had, I can't remember his name, had Cameron Neff in a headlock, and Neff passed out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and was out for a while.
Really? That's scary.
Yeah. So that's now other serious one I've heard.
Yeah, and we have to ask Dagani about it, but you know, apparently the person who got punched, he's everybody I've talked to says a really nice guy, and he didn't deserve that. And then the other people who said that the person who punched him is a hothead. Well, I don't know him, and I can't judge this guy. I can't, and I'm not judging him. But I saw what happened, and yeah, he looks like a hothead, man. I think he's very fortunate not to be in jail right now, or worse, because anything could have happened.
Yeah.
So we need to nip this in the butt in RC, and we want new people to get into RC, and we want this to happen and all this type of stuff. Well, we can't have this happening. Not over some race like where you know. Okay, yeah, maybe he got hacked. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. There's no defending this. This guy got mad. He got pissed off. He punched this guy. Defense, like this guy didn't have no chance to even defend himself. So I don't fucking know. I just don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no defending it, but it's not like it's super common either.
No, that's a good. Well, it did happen twice
it's not
this
like
weekend.
The world is ending.
No, it's not. But you know, I think what shocked people more was the viciousness of it. Like, you know, like I'm seeing the person get knocked out on video. I'm seeing a person get knocked out in real life, and it's like, wow, shit, you know. But I think one punch and then two more, like pop. Like if one punch stunned the guy, and then he just did two more, like pop, pop, like really hard punch. Like that guy, he must train because he knows how to punch. I hope he doesn't get pissed off at me and punch me for saying what I say, but I just don't condone it, man. And and like I said, he just messed up his time in RC. So now he can't go to a track that he likes to go to and race because of his brief moment of stupidity. So he's kind of like out of the hobby. So And then who knows what's going to happen with the guy who got punched out. They got to take it easy for him. He's probably embarrassed. His family's probably, very shocked, and his wife's probably upset, and his son or daughter is probably upset. It's happened to their father in front of him. So he's going to take a break probably from RC. So, come on. We can't be doing it. I don't know, man. But we can't have this happening. And it's not common, but it was very vicious. So please, people. Yes, we get hot. We get irritated. Tempers flare. But think before you act. Think. Except if you just slap Joseph. He needs a good slap every once in a while. No.
That's fine.
I don't condone that. You have anything to say? Anything added to say before we sign out of this rant?
No.
None? I thought you was going to be a little bit more active in this rant.
I don't care enough, to be honest.
But you do agree that it shouldn't happen and it's vicious.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You said everything I would have said.
All right. So Joseph is quiet. All right, Joseph. Yeah. So Buggyland this weekend. Are you excited for that?
Kind of.
Yeah.
The problem that I can already see is, this should have been Buggyland, not just another Joey race. So now it's looking like it's going to be a $70 club race. That's what's annoying. If you come over here and do a Buggyland, then do it exactly like you do it in Spain. Same format, same classes, same schedule, everything. Don't come here and let Joey have 3 classes of truggy to get entries. It's just ridiculous. It's fucking, I'm so over it. Sportsman, expert, amateur, pro. Yeah, what's the point? Short course. I mean, fuck's sake. Really?
Well, I think
it's just it's a $70 club race. They came to the track to build the track. They hadn't even figured out the classes and everything. They were still figuring out what to do.
Well, I think
there's no plan. It's just.
I think
let's see. Okay. Let's see how it goes. There's some good drivers for the pro class. That's nice. So that's cool.
I like have you been to a Buggyland race before?
It starts at 8. I don't think I have, actually. I've been there, but to his track, but I haven't been at the Buggyland race. The schedule was it starts at 8 and it's done by 6:30 or something. But nothing in between. There was nothing. There's no way.
I don't see that happening.
Unless there's 50 people there.
Well, they probably won't get a big entry count, but I mean they will.
Honestly, I hope they don't. And I'm not saying that because I don't want the race to be successful. I'm saying that because I want to be done at a decent time.
Well, it's not all about you, Joseph, unfortunately. So, I mean, I guess they're trying.
My life is, so I said what I want.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're trying to cater to electric. I don't mind e-buggy and truggy.
They aren't trying to cater to anyone. That's the whole problem. That's what I'm saying. They should try and cater to someone. There should be a point to it, but there isn't. It's just another race with a lot of classes and no structure. It's just a $70 club race. That's it.
Well, I see they got some different games to go on throughout the race.
To do.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I know, in Spain, in Euro races, they can serve alcohol and all that type of stuff. So I think that adds to music. That adds all to it. But we'll see, man. Hey, I don't shit on nobody. Rain on nobody's parade, man. I hope it's successful. They have some good pros going there, and I think we'll see some really great racing. I want to see what these two come up with track wise as well. I haven't seen any finished pictures of the track, so we shall see. But I understand why you feel that way as well.
Yeah, let's hope they prove me wrong, but I really doubt it.
All right. Well, I think you should have fun. And you know what? Good luck. Do some work. It's like your home track, dude.
It's not my home track.
Whatever. You love Thunder Alley. You go there as much as you can.
I do. It's $5,000 to practice, and it's really far away. So, and it's only open at 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So, yeah, I don't go there very much.
Okay, but you used to go there quite a lot. So stop your
Stop your 2 years ago, yeah.
Stop your pissing and moaning for once. Jesus. slap you when I see you. Hey, you know what? Stop. Go finish your work. Ship out the shirts, please. Get your ticket for Myrtle Beach and get your
Let's see.
Oh, God.
I actually ordered something off Amazon. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah?
I was just saying that I've never ordered anything off Amazon. Now I did.
Well,
let's see how this works.
I live off of Amazon, so it doesn't matter to me. Get the shock mount for that, too, by the way. I'll send you a link. Or order it. Anyway.
What the fuck? Where's my...
Anyway, I don't care about that. Good luck at Buggyland. Have fun. Is Dagani going?
I don't know.
He says he's retired again.
For delivery, it says.
Yeah.
It says it's delivered. So
maybe it's downstairs. Was it the microphone?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You should do it.
No, the bags. The bags for shipping.
Oh, right.
Right. So I can ship the shirts.
All right. Well, cool, man. Thank you for your time. Have fun at Buggyland. If you do have time, get me some interviews. You'll be there.
Okay.
Do a little walkabout.
I'll do that.
And before we go, I want to shout out to all the people that support the No Name RC podcast. Thank you all. Hashtag NNRC Squad for your support. We can't do it without you. 1 year, 52 episodes, Joseph. I love proving you wrong. And I would
amazing.
Yeah, it is. Amazing that you admit that you was wrong.
Send me some questions.
Questions?
The drivers.
You know what to ask them.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I would like to say thank you to our sponsors, RCMX Online, Euro RC, Assault RC, Techno RC, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, BK Servos, Bipolar Designs, 454 RC Works, and our latest sponsor, RC Raceworks, as well as JQ Racing. Remember, everybody, Nitro's the glory, E-Buggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding and sliding, if you're going racing, have fun. Think twice before you act. Like, if you get upset with somebody, think about it. We don't need any more like incidents like this happening. We need to. I like to keep things positive. I like fun and I like banter and all that type of stuff as well. But I don't want to see nobody get hurt at all. So have fun wherever you guys are racing. If you guys are going racing this weekend, have fun, enjoy it, and have a beer for me. So talk to you later. All right, Joseph. Have a good one, man. I'll talk to you later on.
Okay. See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
You are entering the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. The part of the podcast that gives the listeners a platform to talk about RC. Brought to you by Techno RC. Techno RC. Techno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.technorc.com for a complete catalog of their products.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/The Quay Grain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, Nitro is the glory.